Chapter 181. Besieging Yuyang, Fierch killing Hua Jin.
We only have an hour left. Thankfully the leader returned in time. Otherwise we'd be facing military justice.
Yuyang Sek.
Chun Sansi whistled for his white swan horse while inquiring about the details on the road. However, Zhao Kong was just a captain, responsible for relaying messages, not privileged to know the specific plans. Let's go. Drive. After hurrying to the military camp, more than 4,000 people had already gathered at the martial arts arena. The reserve camp, totaling 12,000, was divided into 4 units: front, back, left, and right. Chun Sansi's left unit was fully assembled, responsible for tonight's task with Deputy General Sha Wenlong personally in command, and Yu Song assigned to assist. The specific combat strategy was discussed inside the tent, only accessible to those above the rank of thousand captain. Bai Thingji, Lu Shuhua, and Xie Sishu were all present. Then it was Chun Sansi's first meeting with Reserve Camp General Sha Wenlong. Sha Wenlong, transferred from Yu State, was originally a fierce warrior under General Jing, sporting a rugged appearance and an eye patch over one eye lost in battle. His weapon was a dragon-scale broadsword. His aura was even stronger than the old servant Chao Fan, indeed appearing to be of the profound image realm. But why suddenly move against Yu Yang sect? Could it be related to the witch god sect? Vice Admiral Yu, you make the announcement. After speaking, Sha Wenlong leaned on his broadsword and closed his eyes to rest. Yes, Yu Song began. Recently, the witch god sect fans have been rampant, yet their traces were elusive. Suspecting some sects might be collaborating with the witch god sect, General Sha secretly purchased disciples within several sects to act as spies, finally yielding results. An inner sect disciple of the Yu Yang sect claimed he saw a man in black use a Vajra pestle to kill someone, and then not descend the mountain but instead hide in the residence of Yu Yang sect master, Huang Tianrong. Thus, we suspect Huang Tianrong is collaborating with, or perhaps is even a part of, the witch god sect followers. Tonight's mission is to capture Huang Tianrong alive, and before we can ascertain how many of Yu Yang sect disciples are in collusion, none shall escape. Colluding with the witch god sect. Chun Sansi found it hard to believe. A third-rate sect under the given intelligence, with a sect master of entry-level Hua Jin in Liangzhou, one of the weakest forces, dared to affiliate with the witch god sect. Even the Jade Maiden sect, previously nearly wiped out, was a genuine second-rate sect with the sect master in the Meridian Passage realm. How many lives would they have to risk? Of course, it could also be coercion, like the previous case with the Golden Bell Temple, a hiding spot for the witch god sect. Only by going there would the truth be known. Bai Thingji spoke up. Vice Admiral Yu, I have a question. Yu Song took out a map, slowly unfolding it on the table, and without looking up said, Speak! Yu Yang sect has had quite a few disciples die under mysterious circumstances recently, right? Bai Thingji seriously said, if they are indeed colluding with the witch god sect, why would so many of their disciples be killed? Obviously. Lu Shuhua held his sword and spoke gravely, merely a tactic to deceive others. Brother Lu is correct. Xie Sishu added, the more they cooperate with the witch god sect, the more they must harshly deal with their own to prove their innocence and secure an undefeatable position. Bai Thingji thoughtfully said, if that's the case, then they truly deserve death. General Sha, Yu Song, pointing at the laid-out map of Liangzhou, respectfully said, my report is complete. It's time for you to make the deployment. General Sha, Lu Shuhua burst out, please assign me and my men to the most dangerous position. I feel the same. Xie Sishu quickly followed. I am ready to face death multiple times over. Sounds noble. But aren't you just seeking to achieve merits? Bai Thingji bluntly stated. To compete for the position of true disciple, one not only needs to surpass the current true disciples in realm, but also to accumulate one more B-grade military merit to initiate a challenge in the arena. The general has his plans. Yu Song admonished. Your only job is to obey the orders. Sha Wenlong slowly opened his eyes, moved to the map, and spoke solemnly. Since not all Yu Yang sect disciples are colluding with the witch god sect, we cannot massacre the innocent, otherwise it would irreparably tarnish the reputation of the 8 camps. Therefore, tonight, the army's main role is to encircle, not to slay. Handling Huang Tianrong is not your duty, but will be personally undertaken by me and Vice Admiral Yu. Your main tasks are to infiltrate the Yu Yang sect with 20 men each, then capture these locations separately, he said, pointing to a few locations on the map. Everyone looked closely and noticed that the structure of the entire Yu Yang sect was clearly illustrated, including every separate complex and every small path, depicted in meticulous detail. In each of these complexes resides a refining organ disciple, core true disciples of Huang Tianrong. If they cooperate, capture them alive and bring them down the mountain. If they do not, execute them regardless. Once Huang Tianrong and these few are captured for display, the remaining Yu Yang sect disciples will surely not dare to resist further, minimizing the impact of this matter. Did everyone understand? Command received. The crowd responded in unison. The issue of the witch god sect is crucial. If left unchecked, it might lead to great turmoil. Conversely, if we can trace through Yu Yang sect to uncover the true masterminds behind, our reserve camp can claim a great achievement. Sha Wenlong stated, moreover, simply by completing your respective tasks, you will each be credited with a C-grade battle merit. Chapter 182. Besieging Yu Yang, fiercely killing Hua Jin. _2. Set off. The 4,000 men of the reserve camp's left division launched their assault in silence under the cover of night. At each intersection leading down the mountains from the Yu Yang sect, 1,000 heavily armed troops stood guard, ensuring no one escaped. Zhao Kong, Wang Li, Zhu Tong, Su Bin, each of you pick 5 men to accompany me up the mountain. Feng Yong, you lead the rest to secure the mountain entrance. Chun Sansi quickly finished the arrangements and led them stealthily into the Yu Yang sect. The Yu Yang sect was established on a mountain outside the city. It wasn't particularly large, but the terrain was complex, with courtyards connected to each other like a labyrinth. Numerous disciples were responsible for patrolling, making it extremely difficult to quickly locate the destination at night. Fortunately, he had memorized the map thoroughly and could see clearly in the darkness, allowing him to reach the destination with great speed. A walled manor connected to the rear mountain. Strangely, this place did not seem inhabited. Cobwebs adorned the main gate, and the courtyard inside lay in utter silence. Wasn't it agreed that each of us would handle a true disciple? Why is there no one here? To prevent any errors, Chun Sansi even jumped onto the roof and used his Qi observation skill to meticulously search the area. He could confirm with absolute certainty that no one lived there, which made him more vigilant. When things went abnormally, there must be demons at work. He thought back to what Tang Inca had told him during the day. Sha Wenlong, to make me come up empty-handed, unable to achieve merit? It can't be that simple. An insignificant third-class military achievement couldn't possibly shake his position as the leading true inheritor. Then danger must be close at hand. Could it be that witch god sect followers were hidden here and would soon emerge? Unclear. At the moment, it was merely speculation. He might be overthinking it. But even if the enemy truly harbored ill intentions, he couldn't leave. In a word, military orders were as heavy as mountains. Desertion, especially on the battlefield, was an absolute capital offense. The more he was the supervisor's true disciple, the more he had to set a good example. Otherwise, the situation would be even more difficult to handle. Take it one step at a time. Let's find out what this courtyard is for first. Chun Sansi ordered, "Search!" In the darkness, Huang Tianrong led the way, followed by 7 or 8 true disciples and a dozen inner sect disciples. They moved hurriedly forward in a panic, occasionally glancing back as though fleeing from some ferocious beast. "Master! They really have us surrounded. If not for Master's quick response, we would likely be locked up in the dungeon by now. Junior brother Ma deserves to die. He seems so honest usually, yet he betrayed us this way. Master even considered him as the future sect master. Colluding with the witch god sect. Ridiculous. We've lost so many brothers. How could we possibly be linked to the witch god sect? Since they can't catch the witch god sect, the pressure's too much, and they want us to take the blame. The 8 camps are up to no good. Master, could what 8th junior brother saw be true? A disciple voiced a differing opinion. Walking in front, Huang Tianrong stopped, turned back, and spoke angrily. Do you actually doubt your master? The witch god sect has killed dozens of our Yu Yang sect disciples. Among them was your 3rd senior brother, who was the most likely to break through to the Meridian Passage realm and strengthen our sect again. How could your master destroy the foundation of our ancestors? Several disciples looked at each other, feeling that it didn't make sense. Master, what should we do now? Why don't we go and explain things clearly? Explain my ass. Huang Tianrong cursed. Do you think they mobilized so many soldiers just to listen to your explanations? Whoever wants to stay and await death, your master won't stop you. Those who want to live, come with me. This tunnel was left by our ancestors for a catastrophe like this, to ensure our lineage doesn't completely end. The end of this tunnel leads to a small courtyard in the rear mountain. There's gold and silver buried there. Grab what you can, and we, master and disciples, will directly leave Liangzhou and go to Ming State to seek refuge with King Liang of Mei Mountain. King Liang, a disciple exclaimed in surprise. Doesn't that mean we'll have to become bandits in the mountains? Exactly, we will become bandits. Huang Tianrong said angrily. Ever since Sun Xiangzong came, he wouldn't raise taxes on the common people, but insisted that the sects pay. In just 5 short years, how much resources has he taken from us? Now with this happening, it's most likely that they covet our ancestors' Deluo River and want to take it for themselves. Such a court is better overturned. The group of disciples felt that his analysis made sense. Following your master, there's a bright future. Becoming a marquis or a minister in the future is not impossible. Quick, move. Sir, we found a lot of weapons and gold and silver. Zhao Kong pointed to the trove of treasures piled in the middle of the courtyard. They were very well hidden, and we had to dig 3 feet into the ground to find them. Something really isn't right about this place. Chun Sansi pondered silently. What kind of place would be used to hide money? This clearly wasn't a heavily guarded spot, so it had to be a last resort. He had a rough idea of what was going to happen today. After Sha Wenlong and his men came up empty at Huang Tianrong's residence, the latter had already received a message and fled early. This was their final stop. Just by climbing out, they could enter the vast mountains and escape to freedom. Everyone, leave the courtyard and ambush with me outside, Chen Sansi commanded. After relocking the courtyard gate securely, they hid themselves in the woods outside. Within less than the time it took to brew a pot of tea, they saw a group of people running over in a frantic rush. As expected, just as Chun Sansi had anticipated, this place was indeed the last escape route for these people.
Chapter 183. Besieging Yu Yang, Fierce Killing Hua Jin, 3.
Sha Wenlong sent him here. It was very likely a deliberate plan to make him encounter a Hua Jing warrior and kill him with someone else's hand. As for this, they only needed to observe the sky arrows watching their support speed to know. It's not good. Huang Tianrong took out a key, and before he even reached the door, he realized something was wrong. Quick! Run! Fire the arrows! Chen Sansi shouted loudly. However, the martial artists in front of them were at the very least at the bone training realm. Only he could bring someone down with a single arrow. The destructive power of the other people's bows and arrows was simply too limited. Don't panic. There aren't many of them. Huang Tianrong, after all, was a master and extremely experienced. Swiftly assessed the situation. Quickly kill them, then grab the silver and run. While blocking the arrows, he charged to the front lines, his spear in hand like a Jiao dragon bursting from the sea, whooshing straight towards Chun Sansi's face. The soul-breaking spear and the trident clashed together. A force different from Qi blood power surged forth, and even though Chun Sansi entered the blood explosion state, he still retreated half a step. But that was all. Hua Jing technique entry level, representing inner strength before outer strength. The gap with refining internal organs perfection might be vast for ordinary people, but for him it seemed not so fearsome. Under the blood explosion state, he could hold on. Moreover, it seemed there were no other high-level experts from the witch god sect present, and the situation was not too dire. Of course, it would be best if reinforcements could arrive nearby. Is it you? Chun Sansi. Huang Tianrong had previously met him at Xiayun Temple. You, a mere refining organ, dare to block me? D. At this point, not to mention a disciple of Sun Xiangzong, even if Sun Xiangzong himself were here, he would still have to fight with all he had. General Sha, why is there no one? At the other end of the Yu Yang sect, where the sect master resided, only some women huddled on the ground, crying in terror. Need you ask? Sha Wenlong stared at a corpse at his feet, a disciple of the Yu Yang sect who had sent them the message. Surely it's this trash who leaked the news, letting Huang Tianrong become aware and escape ahead of time. Then what do we do? Where should we look? How should this general know? Swoosh! Amidst their conversation, several sky arrows shot up from the southeast direction. General Sha, there's a signal. Yu Song said. Before we came, it was decreed that unless it was the discovery of Huang Tianrong, no one else should be disturbed. Huang Tianrong is at the Huajing realm, and all the captains are still refining organs. Whoever encounters him will be in danger. Let's hurry over. No rush. Sha Wenlong's face was calm like a still lake. It might just be Huang Tianrong's strategy to lure the tiger away from the mountain. Let's search around here a bit more. All right. I obey the order. 20 rounds passed. Chun Sansi was still engaged with the Huajing warrior, and as time went on, from initially being suppressed, he gradually stabilized the situation. Damn it! The brothers fighting alongside him against the disciples of the Yu Yang sect cursed. The signal has been sent out for ages. Why hasn't anyone come to support us? Need you ask? Chun Sansi's eyes were cold. They had been set up. It's highly likely that this was orchestrated by Han Wen or Chao Fan under the director's orders. Fortunately, as the battle went on, he discovered something. The Huajing warrior wasn't that incredible after all. Previously, it was difficult to confront Chao Fan across the borders because he was also a peerless genius. But not everyone was a genius. Huang Tianrong obviously was not, otherwise he would not be just a Huajing martial artist as a sect master. One step wrong, every step wrong. His chi blood certainly would not compare to my own. In this depletion and enhancement, the gap between the two further narrowed. How is this possible? Huang Tianrong, who was full of confidence before the action, quickly turned pale, unable to imagine why he, a Huajing warrior, couldn't take down his opponent. This guy's blood explosion state kicked in with full force right away, and astonishingly, he used his chi blood to withstand his internal energy. Chi blood against internal energy. How terrifying. A sheer fantasy. He gradually realized what it meant for someone who stood out from the many geniuses of the 36 states, that one simply couldn't assess him by the common realm boundaries. Chun, Mr. Chun. We know each other in passing. Let's each take a step back. Please let me go. How about it? The only answer he got was the silver spear. Under the enhancement of the Xian Yuan 5 organs body, Chun Sansi's dragon elephant blood completely entered a frenzy state, with the Qilan's heart breaking through the opponent's combat patterns, transforming him into a demon god descending from the heavens. Even though he was fighting across realms, he was paradoxically achieving a suppressive effect. Clang, clang, clang. Huang Tianrong's harpoon became heavier and harder to control, and the internal energy in his body was vanishing at an extremely fast pace, soon nearing exhaustion. The chi blood of a refining organ martial artist was limited, and the internal energy of Huajing warriors was not infinite either. If he exhausted his internal energy before defeating his opponent, his advantage would vanish completely. Clang! Another metallic clash occurred. Just then a crack resounded crisply. Huang Tianrong's harpoon broke. General Sha. Yu Song felt uneasy, feeling that something was off tonight. He said, "How about I stay here while you go to check out where the sky arrow resonated from?" It doesn't look like a distraction tactic. This general will go with you, said Sha Wenlong as he started moving. 40 rounds of time. That should do it. The task Mr. Yin entrusted to him was sufficient to complete. Even if Huang Tianrong was trash, he was still a Huajing warrior and should be able to kill that kid. The arrangement tonight was perfect. Everything could be explained as an accident. Dying in battle, even the disciple of a supervisor could not complain. True disciples had died in battle before. Thinking this way, Sha Wenlong quickened his pace. Just as he arrived at the location, he just saw a long spear under the moonlight transformed into a silver dragon, piercing through Huang Tianrong's heart. Clank! Almost at the same time, Chen Sansi pulled out the Jinhua sword, severed Huang Tianrong's head, and slammed it directly before Sha Wenlong, splattering him with fresh blood covering his face and body. General Sha. He enunciated each word. It seems you've missed your mark. Chapter 184. Seeking Immortal Tower. Gaining Spiritual Energy. Sha Wenlong looked down at the severed heads beneath his feet. His remaining left pupil trembling slightly, as his brows furrowed even more. Refining internal killing Hua Jin? This wasn't just a minor realm advancement, but a major one. The sect master of the Yu Yang sect was truly useless. The question is, what about the Witch God sect? Why didn't the hidden Witch God sect followers strike? It wasn't just Huang Tianrong who was killed. After the other sect disciples received reinforcements, they either died on the spot under a flurry of chaotic blades or were captured without a struggle, daring not to resist in the slightest. General Chan Yu Song found it even harder to believe. He'd thought that trouble was brewing, but it turned out to be Huang Tianrong who ran into trouble. Qi blood countering the force of Hua Jin. What did that even mean? After a long while, Sha Wenlong finally managed to regain his composure. General Chen did well. That undercover disciple revealed his own identity and almost let them escape. Fortunately, General Chen, by his own power, killed the sect master of Yu Yang, preventing grave consequences. You deserve the greatest credit for this mission. Thank you, General Sha. Chen Sansi clasped his fist, his expressionless. We did not collude with the Witch God sect. A disciple from the Yu Yang sect roared desperately. Your accusations are merely to take control of the Daluo River for yourselves, to collect the silver. You scoundrels! Yu Song kicked him twice, then took out a Vajra pestle. Then what is this? Found in your sect master's room. Several disciples stared at the Vajra pestle, their faces filled with disbelief. This item was a tool used by Witch God sect followers to collect heartblood.
Impossible.
How could our master collude with the Witch God sect followers? The third elder brother who died was his favorite disciple. Still trying to be tough? Fleeing alongside Huang Tianrong? Aren't you showing your guilt? Yu Song commanded. Take them all back. Lock them up in the death prison of Liangzhou and await their fate. Announce the severed heads of Huang Tianrong and the few dead true disciples to the public. Compel everyone to cooperate with the investigation. And whoever dares to resist shall be deemed a conspirator of the Witch God sect and be executed without mercy. They left one after another. Chen Sansi, however, looked at the headless corpse of Huang Tianrong. His gaze intense and unflinching for a long while. It wasn't due to lingering anger, but rather, before Huang Tianrong died, he saw a trace of black aura on this man. It was exactly like the aura on sect leader Zhang Huaimin of the Seven Absolute sect, just comparatively much fainter. The reason Chen Sansi did not capture him alive but killed him in the last moment was that he feared the opponent might suddenly increase his realm just like Zhang Huaimin, which would complicate matters greatly. After all, no one would be there to help him, and he had to prioritize his own life. In the end, the Witch God sect followers still didn't show themselves. It was a puzzle to him, and Huang Tianrong didn't seem to be lying. Could it be that he really hadn't colluded with the Witch God sect and was wronged? Then what was the black aura about? Xia Yun Temple. Chen Sansi suddenly thought of a possibility. Zhang Huaimin was at the Meridian Passage realm. then it was highly likely that he had also attended a Tao conference and consumed the mysterious nourishing spirit soup. Could that be the source of the black aura in their bodies? But that was wrong. If the immortal elixir contained black aura, the Qi observation skill should have detected it. At any rate, he needed to be even more cautious around Xiayun Temple. General, Zhao Kong reported in. The cleanup is done. Shall we descend the mountain? Chun Sansi nodded, leading the troops waiting at the foot of the mountain. The subsequent matters were not his responsibility. After the reserve camp took control of the Yuyang sect, they carried out a thorough 3-day and 3-night search, but could not find more evidence of their collusion with the witch god sect. In the end, they concluded that only Huang Tianrong and a few true disciples were guilty. But after days of torturing the still-living disciples to death, they failed to extract a satisfactory explanation. Thus, the matter was left unresolved and came to an end. Finally, it was time for merit awards. Inside the tent, Sha Wenlong announced to everyone, General Chun, for killing the enemy across a major realm, is credited as having the greatest merit for this mission and is to be awarded 1 Class B merit, with a reward of 3,000 taels of silver. Lu Shuhua and Xie Sishu's faces revealed their difficulty. 5 Class C merits were equivalent to 1 Class B merit. Where would they find such opportunities to earn merit again after this? A Class A merit, which was above a Class B merit, required actual battle to obtain. It seemed that the position of the chief true inheritor was beyond their reach now. Moreover, refining internal to combat Hua Jin, even if it was only a third-rate sex Hua Jin, would be very difficult. Probably only Chao Fan would be able to compete with this man. General Chun, congratulations. Lu Shuhua and Xie Sishu stepped forward to congratulate him, signifying that they had effectively given up on the competition. You shouldn't have harbored any such aspirations in the first place, Bai Thingji bluntly said. After leaving, Chun Sansi once again saw In Han Wan and Chao Fan practicing in the martial arts arena, and a strong killing intent surged within him. This confusion must have been instigated by someone with the surname In. Sha Wenlong was of the profound image realm, so it was not a good time to kill him. But this dog In Han Wan, Chun Sansi didn't want him nauseatingly flitting in front of him anymore. If he left In Han Wan alive, who knew what kind of backstabbing would occur in the future? The problem was, next to In Han Wan was an old servant at the Meridian Passage realm. Chun Sansi hadn't yet reached Hua Jin, and even if he did, it was impossible for him to kill someone at the Meridian Passage. But what about using a spell? Sword Chi skill. After all, it was a spell used by immortals. It should be able to kill a Meridian Passage realm individual, right? The only issue was the lack of Qingxian energy, or rather, spiritual energy. Seeking Immortal Tower. It couldn't be avoided. Determined, Chun Sansi, covered in blood, returned home. Chapter 185. Seeking Immortal Tower, Acquiring Spiritual Energy. _2. Si Kinmohua gradually got used to preparing hot water for his baths and for changing his clothes. Now that his wife was pregnant, it was better to be cautious to avoid startling the child. The next morning, just as Chun Sansi had finished washing up, Mo Hua came to find him, saying that someone outside wanted to meet him. Standing at the entrance of the residence was a young Taoist, naturally from the Xiayun Temple. Blessings be as boundless as the heavenly venerate. The young Taoist bowed. Benefactor, my master is going to preach today and has specially sent me to invite you. They actually came to the door. What does it mean? Could it be that they insist on making him drink the nourishing spirit soup? What exactly was this nourishing spirit soup for? I understand. Chun Sansi calmly replied, Please tell Reverend Xiao Mingzi that if I have time, I will definitely come. He certainly couldn't outright refuse, otherwise the other party might sense something was wrong. It just wasn't clear if he didn't go, whether the other side would keep inviting him, and if he kept refusing, whether they would force him. Without a weapon, he truly felt unsafe. And recently, the tracking had started again. After leaving the house, Chun Sansi noticed the familiar presence reappearing. It seems I need to find someone to deal with this. He thought this as he went out to buy many medicinal materials, using his free time after work and beyond his cultivation sessions, to make a lot of beauty creams and rouge powders, which he then personally delivered to the governor mansion. Junior brother really knows how to care for women. Rong Yanxiu, smelling the scent of rouge, said, "These materials can't be found on the market. You must have gone through a lot of trouble. Are you planning on asking me to give them to ninth junior sister?" Chun Sansi shook his head. "No, they are for you, senior sister." "Me?" Rong Yanxiu quickly caught on and rolled her eyes. "Junior brother, if you have something to say, just say it." "Thank you, senior sister." Chun Sansi didn't stand on ceremony and explained what he needed. "All right, leave it to me." Rong Yanxiu handed the items to a servant, instructing, "Go give these to ninth junior sister and say that Mr. Chun personally made them for her." After giving her instructions, her expression suddenly turned grave, and she picked up a weapon and followed. It wasn't long before she indeed spotted a shadowy figure covertly following behind the junior brother. Swoosh! An iron thorn's whip suddenly lashed out. The shadow let out a cry of alarm, also taking out 2 short daggers from behind to block. But he was clearly no match due to an injury. After one exchange, he was stumbling backward, yelling, "Ninth junior sister. It's me. Hold your hand. Old third." Rong Yanxiu's face grew even colder. "Junior brother has only been an entry-level disciple for a short while, and you want to trail him?" "No, not trailing," Nye Yuan hurriedly explained. "I was merely protecting junior brother in secret. Do you think I can believe you?" Without further ado, Rong Yanxiu whipped out her iron thorn's whip with the fury of a tempest, swiftly reigniting Nye Yuan's old wounds and forcing him to spit out a mouthful of fresh blood. He knelt on one knee. "Ninth junior sister, are you really going to kill your senior brother over a junior who's just become an entry-level disciple? Killing you would be too far, but..." Rong Yanxiu snorted coldly. "You and eldest brother have long ceased to be my senior brothers. Come with me." She wrapped her iron thorn's whip around his neck and, like leading a prisoner, marched straight to Marquis Wooding's mansion. She kicked open the gate, startling the eldest senior brother inside who was practicing his martial arts. Lu Ji looked at his third junior brother, covered in blood, and felt a headache coming on. Without even asking, he could guess what had happened. But still, he said with a heavy voice, "Ninth junior sister, isn't this going too far?" "Too far." Rong Yanxiu found it laughable. She kicked Nye Yuan aside, her voice laced with severity. "Eldest brother, aren't you embarrassed? Setting your sights on our own junior brother. No wonder the fourth senior brother instructed me to stay in Liangzhou for a while before he left, just to guard against you, the ingrate. I really only wanted to protect junior brother in secret." "Protect?" Rong Yanxiu sat down in the middle of the courtyard, pouring herself a drink indifferently. "You have the nerve to say that. A few nights ago when junior brother was on a mission and ran into Hua Jin, where was your protection then?" Lu Ji spoke blandly. "The battlefield is the battlefield. Normal times are normal times." "Enough. I can't be bothered to argue with you." Rong Yanxiu felt irritated. "From now on, if you dare to tail Chin Sansi again, don't blame me for turning on you, and I mean the kind of turning that involves risking lives, do you understand?" "Okay." Lu Ji agreed calmly. "I promise you, I don't hold power in Liangzhou. This is your turf. But there's someone you need to deal with for me." Rong Yanxiu continued. "Sha Wenlong." "Why?" "Because of the Yu Yang sex business." Lu Ji sat down opposite her. "That doesn't seem appropriate. It was just an accident."
Accident.
Rong Yanxiu scoffed. "I've checked. Sha Wenlong's family has been disciples of the Yin family since his father's generation. You tell me this was an accident? If he were under my control, he would have been dismembered into over a dozen pieces by now. Sister, we need evidence for everything." "I couldn't care less about evidence." Rong Yanxiu's stance was firm. "I'm giving you 1 month. Either remove him or transfer him to another department. Otherwise, I'll take matters into my own hands." "Ninth junior sister, don't go too far." Nye Yuan could hardly bear it. Lu Ji stopped him. Junior sister, I swear to heaven, I would never harm junior brother's life. And as for your demand, I can agree to take care of it, but junior brother has just become an entry-level disciple. And you're already so protective? Is it necessary? I'm not protecting him. Rong Yanxiu enunciated clearly. I merely trust master. Chun Sansi stopped in front of the largest brothel on Flowering Willow Lane, looking up at the signboard that bore several large characters, a red sleeve tower. Chapter 186. Seeking Immortal Tower, Acquiring Spiritual Energy. _3. After coming to this world, it was the first time he had entered such a place. Young master, please come in. Stopping at the entrance for barely 2 breaths' time, Chun Sansi was surrounded by 2 hostesses and ushered inside. Contrary to his expectations, inside the high-class brothel it wasn't just about being flanked by beauty and mired in drunken debauchery. There were also numerous artistic performances, especially involving various musical instruments. The music alone was enough to reveal the high skill level, something that couldn't be achieved without 10 to 8 years of hard practice. Moreover, the many literati who were reciting poetry and engaging in verbal duels represented a blend of vulgarity and elegance. No wonder tales of romances and rivalries between scholars and brothel women often came out of the capital city. Young master, an old madam respectfully asked, are you here to look for someone, or is this your first visit? My first visit. Chun Sansi looked around. The letter from the Seeking Immortal Tower merely told him to come here but didn't specify who to look for or how, leaving him clueless. However, since it was arranged this way, he assumed the other party would make contact first. Young master, please take a seat. The old madam rushed to find him a seat and began to introduce the girls and the process, which was quite complicated. As soon as Chun Sansi sat down, he had to participate in pointing at the tea flower, paying 10 taels of silver for the tea, which essentially was just the minimum entry fee. Following that, should he fancy any of the girls for company, a separate price would be set. The girls were ranked into different grades, with the Oiran being the most expensive. Having money alone wasn't enough. One also needed to recite poetry to attract her attention and have a chance to spend the night. I can manage that. Chun Sansi thought, with the poems he still remembered, he could certainly show off a bit here. Unfortunately, he wasn't in the mood. He was here for serious business today. On the surface, Liangzhou City was tranquil, but beneath that, danger lurked everywhere and every moment had to be used to enhance his power. Indulgence also needed the right timing. An hour's wait and still, there was no movement. Chun Sansi didn't spend a single penny more than the entry fee, which made the madam roll her eyes at him. He didn't get to meet anyone from the Seeking Immortal Tower, but he did end up meeting acquaintances. Sun Buki, Yen Chongqing, and several sons of officials. Mr. Chan, you should have said something earlier and we could have come here together, said Yen Chongqing, offering a toast. I am a regular here and can introduce you to some rare beauties. All top courtesans guaranteed to satisfy you. Sansi, what are you doing here? Sun Buki was surprised. This isn't like you. Chun Sansi, unable to avoid it, simply responded, I've been tired from cultivation recently, just here to relax a bit. The purpose of visiting the Seeking Immortal Tower was a secret, of course not to be publicly disclosed. Sansi, this isn't good for you, Sun Buki said. Your sister-in-law is pregnant and waiting for you at home. Let's go, we can go hunting in the mountains instead. Question mark. Chun Sansi looked at him, feeling something was off. Sansi, Sun Buki said sternly, so many people know you here. Aren't you afraid it'll spread by tomorrow and everyone will know? What is there to be afraid of? Chun Sansi was very calm. His master disliked lecherous individuals, but he was here in search of the Seeking Immortal Tower, something his master was aware of. In this world, men visiting brothels was nothing unusual, so why fear people? You. Sun Buki was a bit anxious. Sansi, my sister is at your house taking care of your sister-in-law. Sunli? Chun Sansi belatedly realized. Recently, he had felt something strange about everyone's behavior. After his initiation ceremony, his master even mentioned arranging a marriage for him, and today Senior Sister 9 also hinted whether the gift was meant for Sunli. Combining Sun Buki's attitude, perhaps they were planning to marry off their girl to him? Why? To Chen Sansi, this kind of thing should require mutual consent. Does Senior Sister Sun even agree? Well, Senior Sister is very pretty. But he really hadn't considered these matters. Still the same reason, currently he lacked the mind for it. Bu-chi, take a seat. Chen Sansi didn't leave. Let's just drink and listen to songs. We'll leave after tonight. Okay. Sun Buki finally sat down. As we agreed, don't stay overnight. It seems you, my boy. Chen Sansi teased. A regular? I couldn't tell. I'll have to report this to our master. Don't, Sansi, that's not fair. Sun Buki hurriedly said. I won't snitch on you. Can't you just pretend you didn't see anything? Chen Sansi laughed and clinked glasses with him. The brothel grew increasingly lively as time approached the hour of the dog. Many talents began to compete eagerly, bidding for the right to spend the night with the top courtesans of Red Sleeve Tower. The price for one night with the Oira Ningxiang reached a terrifying 5,000 taels, enough to buy 2 mystic iron furnaces. In addition, Miss Ningxiang required poetry. Only those whose poems were good enough while also being wealthy could get the opportunity to meet her. Note, it was to meet, not to spend the night. After meeting her, whether one could spend the night depended on one's performance. It was unknown how beautiful she was to enchant these many men. It mustn't be some illusion.
Illusion technique.
Chen Sansi had a spell, and people from Seeking Immortal Tower possessing an illusion technique made sense, right? Could it be that this Oiran was someone from the Seeking Immortal Tower? Miss Ningxiang, please meet with me. As time passed, poem after poem was written and sent to the upper floors, yet no one was called up. Many were so anxious they paced back and forth, and some who were drunk even attempted to rush upstairs but were stopped by the martial artists maintaining order. Brother Chen. Yan Chongqing clasped his hands. Won't you give it a try? With phrases like, with a heart elated like a galloping horse, I enjoy all the flowers in Chang'an in one day. You are certain to win Miss Ningxiang's heart. I've heard that anyone who makes it upstairs is so bewitched they can't recover for 3 days and nights. Ah, the taste of it. Chapter 187. Seeking Immortal Tower, Acquiring Spiritual Energy. _4. Unexpectedly, Tang Inca left the poem behind before he departed. Chen Sansi really didn't want to act as a copycat. And if Miss Ningxiang wasn't from Seeking Immortal Tower, wouldn't that be a huge loss? Gentlemen. As he hesitated to spend the money, even considering leaving, a voice that sounded like a clear spring and somewhat familiar rang in his ears. The young woman, dressed in a warm yellow skirt and bowing her head, served them wine and snacks, saying, Please enjoy. The gentleman might also write poems. Perhaps you could earn the favor of our miss. Before leaving, she cast a resentful glance at Chen Sansi and quickly pulled a face to show her disdain. Noticing that faint trace of Qingxian energy inside her, which flickered like a firefly's light, he knew she could only be the same black-clad woman who had broken into his house on that day. Chen Sansi could clearly see the hint. He supposed they were just waiting for him to write a poem. Even if it were nonsensical, they would still call him up. Must they make it so complicated? After much thought, Chen Sansi finally asked for ink, brush, paper, and inkstone, hurriedly recalling a couple of lines of poetry from his mind, wrote them down, and then gave them to the maid responsible for delivering the poems upstairs. As expected, the maid quickly returned, bowed deeply, and then gestured for him to follow. Sir, Miss Ningxiang wishes to see you. Please pay the silver first, then follow this servant upstairs. 5,000 taels. Chen Sansi didn't carry so much money on him. He said, Mr. Yen, could you lend me some silver first? You said you didn't know how to write poems. Yan Chongqing was extremely curious, but he still took out a silver note. Brother Chen, you must share with us a good story upon your return. Followed by envious gazes, Chen Sansi ascended the stairs with the maid. Yan Chongqing, how could you lend money to Sansi? Why not lend? What, Brother Bu-chi? Are you jealous because of this? No, he promised he wouldn't stay the night. What concern is it of yours if he stays the night or not? Red Sleeve Tower has a total of 6 floors, and even in Liangzhou City, it stands out as a landmark. The higher the floor, the more expensive it becomes. Starting from the 4th floor, those are the domains of the Oirans. The top level is empty, with only Ningxiang residing there. Humph! You actually dared to come. The little girl dressed in the warm yellow skirt and disguised as a maid, hands on her hips, indignantly said, "Aren't you afraid my master will avenge me?" Nonsense. Had she wanted revenge, she would have taken it already. Chun Sansi looked at the young girl, noting that most of her wounds were healed, except for a faint scar on her right wrist, and he was not sure why. The medicine used by martial artists is very effective. Theoretically, if it heals, it shouldn't leave a scar. What are you looking at? I've left it there on purpose. Zhao Zhao proactively showed the scar on her wrist, glaring with her clear eyes. Keeping it reminds me to not forget you. Once I'm strong enough to beat you, I'll come to take my revenge. Zhao Zhao, stop causing trouble. A languid and subtly enchanting voice sounded. Zhao Zhao obediently closed her mouth and stepped aside. Chun Sansi hadn't yet entered when, even through the door, he saw a strand of Qingxian energy with his qi observation skill. Compared to Sun Xiangzong, it was much weaker, but much stronger than this girl named Zhao Zhao. Having come all this way, he had no reservations, pushed open the door, and was ready to see the real face of the Oiran over whom many fought tooth and nail. A shadowy boudoir fragrant with incense. The curtains fluttered lightly, casting a graceful silhouette. There sat a striking woman in a light purple dress, leaning softly on the bed. Her cheeks were as blooming as March peach blossoms, exuding an irresistible charm and allure. Under the veil of diffused incense smoke, she seemed even more captivating. If one were to open the doors and windows, she would surely cause tumult among the butterflies and bees. She was indeed a bewitching beauty who speaks like flowers, with a demure loveliness that emits the fragrance of blooming jade. Chun Sansi swung his fist and punched out without hesitation. A look of surprise flitted across the purple-dressed woman's face before she gracefully leapt to avoid the attack. Boom! The bed, however, was not so fortunate and was promptly smashed to pieces. Sir! The purple-dressed woman had a look of aggrievement. Why do you do this? Zhao Zhao accused. Master, I told you he is malicious. Not at all the good man and hero the outside world believes him to be. Last time, he almost took my life. Mississippi. Chun Sansi, looking at the Oiran, said in a stern voice. You sent someone to break into Chen's residence without an announcement, and now you try to unsettle my mind with tricks as soon as I arrive. What is your intention? He noticed that as soon as he entered, the Qingxian energy within the woman began to move, and though he didn't know what she intended to do, he certainly wouldn't just stand there foolishly. Ning Xiang bit her lip, looking wronged as she said, I meant no harm. I just wanted to have some fun with the general first. But who knew the general doesn't know how to be tender to a lady, truly befitting of his military background. Ning Xiang, right? Chun Sansi got straight to the point and asked, You have something to discuss with me. Let's hear it. The purple-dressed woman gestured for Zhao Zhao to close the door, then elegantly approached the table to pour tea. She began, General, are you aware of our seeking immortal tower? I have a rough understanding. Chun Sansi didn't touch the tea and stated, Please get to the point, Mississippi. You're in such a rush, General. Finding it dull, Ning Xiang spoke straightforwardly. Our seeking immortal tower has a legacy of 1,000 years, with influence far and wide. Yet we never meddle in mundane world strife, seeking only to one day find the gateway to the immortal realm. Immortal realm? Chun Sansi asked, Does the immortal realm truly exist in this world? It certainly does exist. Chapter 188. Seeking Immortal Tower, Acquiring Spiritual Energy. _5. Miss Ning Xiang spoke unhurriedly. Otherwise, how could our seeking immortal tower possess immortal laws? It's just a pity that for over 2,000 years, nature's spiritual energy has been depleted. Even with immortal laws, it's difficult to cultivate them to fruition. Spiritual energy depletion. Chun Sansi had long known about it, and he asked, "What use do you have for me then?" Nowadays in the entire world, only His Majesty the Emperor, Supervisor's son, and additionally the Wushan sect leader, these three individuals, have achieved something on the immortal path, Ningxiang said. Among them, Supervisor's son has the most interactions with immortals, and you as his closed-door disciple. Since you dared to come here, it must be with the Supervisor's consent. This further proves that you are the only one who can inherit the Supervisor's immortal law, and you also have the opportunity to come into contact with immortal laws, immortals, and even the gate to the immortal realm. I have only one request in inviting you here, she continued. If one day you manage to enter the true immortal realm, I hope you could take me and my disciples with you. Chun Sansi said helplessly. Miss Ningxiang, discussing these matters with a refining organ martial artist like me, doesn't it seem like you're joking? Martial arts are martial arts. The immortal path is the immortal path. The two are not to be mentioned in the same breath. The lady in purple explained, regarding martial arts, I am merely at the stage of refining internal organs perfection. But even if a meridian passage stood before me, I could easily kill it. But Supervisor's son is different. He entered the path through martial arts, which is the most difficult path. As for you, may I perhaps feel it? She asked. Can refining internal organs also cultivate towards immortality? Chun Sansi remembered his senior brother telling him that he had two paths to choose from. Doesn't that mean he could also cultivate towards immortality now? It's just a pity. Without a cultivation technique for the immortal path, it's very likely his master didn't have one, otherwise he would have presented it. Currently, he only had one spell in hand, which he couldn't yet cultivate. General, don't misunderstand. I only wish to see if you could choose another path, she said. Ningxiang leaned in closer. If possible, you just need to nod and join the Seeking Immortal Tower and swear a blood oath. Then, I will apply to the Tower Master to teach you the cultivation technique. No need, he replied. Chun Sansi was not interested in joining another organization, and having to swear a blood oath sounded even less appealing. Miss Ningxiang, he spoke, do you plan to have me help you for nothing? Of course not, she answered. Ningxiang took out a pouch from her bosom. Don't look at me like that. For something as important as this, one needs to keep it close for peace of mind, right? Master, Zhao Zhao said sadly. We only have a little spirit sand left. Are we really going to give it to this scoundrel? Zhao Zhao, mind your manners. Ningxiang chided gently. In business, we must show sincerity. Spirit sand. Chun Sansi reached out to take it, but the other party withdrew her hand again. Ah, General! Ningxiang lowered her head and drooped her shoulders, putting on a pitiable expression. If you take this item, you must honor your word in the future and not walk away after squeezing everything out of me. I promise you that much, he said. Chun Sansi didn't hesitate for too long. The matter of the immortal realm was uncertain, with no telling how long it would take to come to fruition. But right now, he could see a rich concentration of Qingxian energy emanating from within the pouch. With the contents inside, he would certainly be able to cultivate the spell. After getting his assurance, Ningxiang finally handed over the pouch with peace of mind. Chun Sansi opened the pouch and found firefly-colored sand inside that looked like crushed agate. This is spirit sand. The lady in purple began to explain slowly. At the beginning of ancient times when heaven and earth first unfolded, spiritual energy was abundant. But for unknown reasons, it has rapidly depleted over several thousand years. Now people can only cultivate martial arts through a mixed variety of qi. But in order to cultivate the immortal path, one must possess spiritual energy. Hence, one has to draw on the spiritual energy from some objects left over from ancient times. Spirit sand is one such example. I understand, Chun Sansi said as he accepted the pouch. By the way, Ningxiang shifted the conversation. There might be a disorder occurring in Liangzhou. Chun Sansi inquired. Miss, are you referring to the witch god sect? Yes, and not only them. Ningxiang opened the window, looking in the direction of the Luotian mountain range. Deep within the mountains, there is an evil chi. Evil chi. Chun Sansi recalled the towering black mystical energy that he had once seen in the deep mountains. Is this energy referred to as evil chi? He asked. What's the difference between this evil chi mentioned by Miss Ningxiang and the spiritual energy spoken of earlier? Both spiritual energy and evil chi originate from the immortal realm, but the latter is aggressive and violent, unsuitable for cultivation, and normally doesn't occur naturally. We're not sure what's happening with the evil chi in the Luotian mountain range, and it's growing stronger day by day, as if it's alive. There was worry in Ningxiang's eyes. Recently, the witch god sect has been excessively slaughtering sect disciples. I'm not sure if it's related to this. If it is, who knows what kind of chaos it will eventually cause. If it worries you so much, Chun Sansi challenged her. Why don't you all go take a look? I would love to. With such a formidable evil chi, there might hide some secret regarding the immortal realm inside it. But, alas, my strength isn't that considerable, she said with an air of resignation. Ningxiang closed the window. The poisonous beasts inside the mountains affected by the evil chi are quite fearsome, and my mana couldn't withstand such consumption. Perhaps high-realm martial artists could handle it. High-realm martial artists? Listening to her, Chun Sansi thought that pursuing immortality seemed to be less effective than practicing martial arts. I may have stepped on the immortal path, but I'm far from becoming a true immortal. It's still leagues away. Ningxiang seemingly noted his thoughts and clarified. Not to mention, with the sparse spiritual energy here, it's nearly impossible to advance one's cultivation. Therefore, General, you must appreciate the preciousness of the spirit sand and remember not to forget about me in the future. Chapter 189. Seeking Immortal Tower Acquiring Spiritual Energy. _6. Chun Sansi nodded his head. It seems that the poisonous beasts are born under the influence of evil chi. But as of now, no one knows exactly what happened that led to the increase of evil chi year by year in the Luotian mountain range. Immortal traces, but that is a matter of the distant future. I'm afraid it will require experiencing mysterious phenomena, or even after becoming a martial saint, to explore there. For now, the first task is to achieve Hua Jin, and on top of that, by practicing sword chi skill, I should take care of the trouble that is in Hanwen. Many thanks, miss, I shall take my leave, Chun Sansi said as he prepared to leave. General, you cannot go. Ningxiang hurriedly stopped him. You've spent a large sum of 5,000 taels of silver. If you leave now and someone outside notices anything amiss, revealing your identity, what will you do? Rest for a night and leave tomorrow. Besides, if you wanted to do something else, it wouldn't be out of the question. Chun Sansi had received something from someone else and had to show some respect. He didn't refuse. Must your seeking immortal tower always operate in such places? I too need to make a living, Ningxiang explained. You think seeking immortality doesn't cost silver? Without saying anything more, Chun Sansi asked her to find him a theatrical spear used for opera, and he started training right in the room. He dared not get involved with a woman of uncertain background, let alone get tangled with immortal laws. Even if it wasn't a matter of life and death, there could still be other traps. The effect of the spiritual rice medicine ointment inside him was still active. Lately, his progress hadn't fallen behind either. Cultivation technique. National Guardian Dragon Spear. Hua Jing, entry level. Progress, 71 out of 100. Before he knew it, it was dawn and, looking at Ningxiang and Zhao Zhao, one was asleep on a bed which had only half remained intact, and the other was passed out on the table. Before leaving, he woke up Ningxiang. Hey, give me back my silver. That was 5,000 taels. To take a risk with his life in killing a Huang Tianrong and to receive such a reward, how could he just leave it here? The matter of spirit sand was a separate transaction and had nothing to do with the silver. General, you want a freebie? Ningxiang said with an angry look. You've broken the bed and now you're not even willing to shell out a single copper coin. Woman, where did I touch you? Chun Sansi urged. I'm in no mood to waste words with you. I still have to return to the camp for roll call. Why so fierce? Ning Xiang, as if truly scared, hastily found several silver notes. Chun Sansi stuffed the silver notes into his bosom and strode away. After his departure, he faintly heard sobbing coming from behind him. Sigh, such an actor. Chun Sansi felt too powerless to complain further and called Chen Sun before heading straight to the military city. After roll call, he received some news. Sha Wenlong had been transferred to the Sky Wolf camp, and the deputy general of the reserve camp was replaced by a deputy general from the Cloud camp. Clearly someone had orchestrated this deliberately. This was a good thing. Having a direct superior harboring ill intentions and wanting you dead was utterly terrifying, especially within the army, where many orders simply had to be obeyed, even if it meant marching to one's death. It was just unknown who was behind it. The most likely candidate could only be Senior Sister 9. Just as Brother Fong had said, Sister Rong Yanqiu could be relied upon, and I really should thank her properly later. Did you do it? At the martial arts arena. Chao Fan questioned. Stop playing dumb. I'm talking about the matter with the Yu Yang sect. Did you have Sha Wenlong set him up to encounter a Hua Jing warrior, aiming to use this as an opportunity to murder by proxy? Young master, it was me. In Hanwen explained. I wanted to relieve the young master of your worries. Your lifespan bears the great responsibility of the great Sheng dynasty and the 36 states. How could you waste it on vying for a momentary victory against such a person? Don't worry, young master. He doesn't have any evidence, and Sha Wenlong, as our staunch loyalist, most certainly won't spill the beans. If worst comes to worst, we'll find another opportunity later on. Dismiss yourself. Chao Fan did not blame him but said indifferently, since you're not participating in the selected point and currently have no position in Liangzhou, I worry that when Supervisor Sun returns, if this matter were to be investigated, it might not be explainable. Supervisor Sun may not return for some time, and young master, don't you trust me? In Hanwen hastily said, even if it traces back to me, I alone will take responsibility for my actions. Do you think that it ending with you, this young master, could escape implication? Chao Fan frowned. Even if I eventually defeat Chun Sansi, I still have to win over the supervisor's favorable impression. Otherwise, I will still not access the true inheritance. Young master, this fault lies with me. In Hanwen finally realized. I will leave and not stay to drag the young master down. Chao Fan patted his shoulder. Help your father with his work more. In the future, you can also lend me a helping hand. Once I command respect within the Liangzhou army, I will invite you back. In Hanwen promised. I'll leave at the end of this month, once my arrow wounds have healed. Chao Fan did not speak further but took up the Azure Dragon Crescent blade to continue his training. In recent times, he had reached a point of complete devotion to practice. Damn it! Once out of sight, In Hanwen slammed his fist into the training post. How could a refining internal manage to overpower a Hua Jing? Why, if this continues, he really could cause huge trouble for the young master in the future. No, I absolutely cannot let him live. Elder Wei, I need your help. He turned his gaze to the Meridian Passage martial artist that his family patronized. Help me kill him. Young master, that's not a good idea. Elder Wei advised. Killing someone in Liangzhou City will definitely lead to a thorough investigation. Then wait until we leave Liangzhou, and make it known to everyone when we leave to clear any suspicions. Afterward, Elder Wei, you can double back to commit the murder and blame it on the Witch God sect. Elder Wei, it's all up to you now. Chapter 190. Spell Killing, Heavenly Book and Strange Weapon. Brother Chun. After finishing a session of cultivation, Chun Sansi put down his long spear to take a short rest, only to see Yen Chongqing running over excitedly, with many soldiers trailing behind him, all wearing the same expression. Incredible! It's just too incredible! Yen Chongqing clapped his hands in amazement. Brother Chen truly is a role model for all of us. A role model for what? Chun Sansi was baffled. Look at you, playing dumb is no fun. Yen Chongqing replied with a mischievous grin. Word has spread. Now the whole Liangzhou city knows about your romantic tale with Miss Ning Xiang. Isn't that so? Xie Sishu added. Mr. Chun, that Vajrabadi of yours not only brought down the arena but also the bed. This morning, as I was preparing to leave, I personally saw the maids carrying a broken bed down from the 6th floor. Hiss! The commander is fierce in the arena, and equally ferocious in bed. Chun Sansi guessed that since he could not explain the smashed bed, he would simply have to brazenly adapt the story to ensure his identity wasn't exposed. And the half-verse poem you wrote, a branch of bright red beauty holds dew's fragrance, clouds and rain over Wushan in vain for the lovelorn heart. Yen Chongqing clicked his tongue. You said you couldn't write poetry. This world had no Wushan, but fortunately, there was Wushan. Chun Sansi silently altered it as he wrote. What about the second half? Indeed, Brother Chun. Leaving a poem unfinished is not a good habit. These children of officials and the wealthy, even those who practice martial arts, have been educated from a young age. Some are even not inferior to literary men, but they hold power in higher regard internally. With Brother Chen's poetic talent, if you were to take the civil service examination, you would certainly achieve top honors. Chun Sansi felt that if he had focused solely on reading and writing, he would definitely have found success. Not to mention that, in a place like the capital city, he could easily gain fame all over the world by simply copying a few poems, but it would be useless. Even if he succeeded in earning fame and recognition, he would still need to employ high-realm martial artists for personal protection, not to mention the possibility of cultivating to immortality in this world. Still, Brother Chun, you do have one bad habit. Yen Chongqing switched the subject. How could you not pay her? Exactly. The word has gone out. Just before you left, you even took away more than 5,000 silver notes from Miss Ning Xiang. You ended up with a profit. A role model, indeed. What kind of role model? I think what General Qin did was quite inappropriate. That money was hard-earned. How could you default on it? Chun Sansi took the opportunity to slip away while they were chattering, not having time to waste. Before leaving, he also took several scrolls from the Great Library, maps of the Great Shang dynasty. There were rumors of unrest popping up everywhere. With external threats resolved, internal strife had emerged. It was likely that there would be another war soon, and the soldiers from the reserve camp would be deployed for combat. As a military leader, it was natural for him to keep maps at hand, ready to analyze the situation at any moment. Calling for his white swan horse, before heading home, Chun Sansi made his way to the bustling Lu Hua Street, a street full of shops selling women's jewelry, rouge, and powder. He selected the busiest shop and spent several hundred silver notes on jewelry before heading home. Before reaching his home, Chun Sansi could already see from afar a young Taoist in Taoist robes standing in front of the mansion. Xia Yun Temple had come calling again. Benefactor. The young Taoist bowed and said, Why didn't the benefactor attend the sermon a few days ago? Chun Sansi dismounted and said, Little master, please convey to Taoist Qiu Mingzi that I have been busy with military duties lately. When I have the time, I will be sure to visit and pay tribute to the heavenly venerate and donate incense. Then Mr. Chun must not forget next time. My master says you have a connection with the Tao, and if you keep attending, you will definitely be able to comprehend the Taoist inheritance. It would be a pity to miss the opportunity. After another bow, the young Taoist left. Have I really caught their attention? Chun Sansi's gaze deepened. He had made inquiries. In the army, there were hardly any high-level generals who visited Xia Yun Temple. On the one hand, it was because the men in the forces like him didn't believe in these things. On the other hand, the governor didn't like it, and his subordinates naturally followed suit, so not many people visited. Does the master know the ins and outs of this? If he knows, why hasn't he dealt with it? Small achievement in Huajin. If Chun Sansi remembered correctly, Qiu Mingzi was just someone with a small achievement in Huajin, and on him, Chun Sansi hadn't detected the Qingxian energy or purple energy, but with the mysterious incense involved, who knew if he had any life-saving cards up his sleeve? He could only take it one step at a time. If they were truly insistent, he might have to take a risk. The urgent matter at hand was to break through to Hua Jin and concurrently practice the sword chi skill. The master has returned. Si Kinmohua were both waiting at the entrance. Ma Hua led the white swan horse inside while Si Qin whispered, "Master, the madam is angry. Because of the red sleeve tower?" "Yes, yes." Si Qin nodded vigorously. "When I went to the market today and passed by the tea house, the entire street was abuzz with the news. They say that the supervisor's disciple, the general of martial virtue, famous throughout the land, visited the brothel and left without paying, and the Oiran had people searching the streets for you." "No worries, I'll just explain." Chun Sansi pushed open the door to the bedroom. He saw Sister Lan, as usual, sitting at the table, her slender jade fingers deftly moving with the embroidery needle, showing no outward signs of anger. The more she seemed calm, the more guilty he felt and didn't know how to start the conversation. "Brother Shi is back." In the end, it was Gu Xinlan who broke the silence. "Yes." Chun Sansi sat down opposite her and brought out several boxes. "On the way back, I picked out a few pieces of jewelry for you. See if you like them. If not, I'll exchange them for new ones." Chapter 191. Spell Kills, Heavenly Book and Strange Weapon. _2. "Wife, don't stop talking. Otherwise, I'll personally make you some rouge, using the most precious treasure medicine, which won't harm the baby and can protect your skin. Or else you—" While listening, Gu Xinlan suddenly covered her face and laughed softly. Chun Sansi was even more dumbfounded. "All right, I was just teasing you," Gu Xinlan said with feigned annoyance. "Didn't you say last time that you had important matters to attend to? Did you really think I was angry?" Chun Sansi was somewhat perplexed as to why even Si Kinmohua knew she was angry. "It was just for show." Seeing his thoughts, Gu Xinlan explained, "Causing such a commotion in a brothel must be to mislead others, right? It would be abnormal for me as your wife not to react at all. I'm just a woman with no martial arts training. I can't help you outside the house, and certainly shouldn't be holding you back at home, should I? Is my sister Lan so clever?" Chun Sansi was somewhat taken aback and hugged her from behind. "Stop horsing around. You might hurt the baby." Gu Xinlan batted his hands away, speaking seriously. "Brother Shi, I don't mind, but Li was not in a good mood when she came this morning." "Surely not. Are you really clueless or pretending to be? Li comes over every day. Do you really think she's just here to take care of me?" "Half true, half false, I guess. I just haven't thought about it that much. And even if senior sister Sun were willing, where would she stand? The daughter of my master, how could she possibly be a concubine?" His master probably didn't say anything at the time, but he might have been a bit angry about it. "Brother Shi, I can—" "Don't say it." Chun Sansi covered her mouth. "This matter won't affect you. The master is magnanimous and won't truly be angry. Rest well. I'm going to cultivate." He went to the backyard, locked the yard door, took up the 5 tigers soul-breaking and the treasure medicine provided by the governor mansion, and began to cultivate. This was the greatest benefit of being the selected point. At every realm, there was enough treasure medicine to consume, so there was no worry about a lack of resources. Coupled with the more exaggerated utility of spiritual rice medicine ointment, his progress soared. He reported daily at 5 a.m., and outside of patrolling, he was cultivating. Chun Sansi became increasingly familiar with the moves of the National Guardian Dragon Spear, gradually reaching a level of great proficiency. Maintaining the blood explosion state, he was almost in a frenzy, the extreme movement of his chi blood within making it impossible for him to spare any thought for anything else. His focus solely on a giant python exuding a mysterious aura, as if it was on the verge of a transformation, evolving at any moment. 200 rounds. The blood explosion state lasted for 200 rounds. Even Chun Sansi's mystical essence 5 organs started to weaken, as if, after being drained of blood, they had to continue to knock on bone and suck the marrow, squeezing the last bit of potential from his body. However, at the same time, he began to sense the existence of power. Just a little bit. Just missing a tiny bit. Hua Jin. Just when Chun Sansi felt as if he was dried up, without a drop of chi blood left in him. A different kind of strength was born within his chi blood, woven into the sinews of his muscled arms, and finally converging upon the long spear, which, as he thrust forward, emitted a roaring sound like the cry of a dragon. Cultivation technique. National Guardian Dragon Spear. Hua Jin. Entry-level. Progress. 0/500. Utility. Power endures. Qi suppresses the land and rivers. Upon great success, power transforms into a true dragon. Hua Jin entry-level. The realm of Hua Jin, like the blood-refining realm, was quite similar. First, a strand of power is cultivated. Then the power spreads through the whole body, followed by outer strength. After achieving outer strength, one can overlay the power on a weapon, and at this point, a mystical weapon comes into play. After reaching great success in Hua Jin, one is able to let a certain degree of power leave the body, surrounding the weapon, forming an invisible force. Power endures. Qi suppresses the land and rivers. Chun Sansi put down the long spear and started practicing his fist techniques on a boulder in the yard that was used specifically for martial arts training, to comprehend the specific effects of the terms through solid practice. The power in his body, after being used to amplify his attacks, seemed not to disappear immediately but would stretch out for a long time before gradually dissipating. This certainly had remarkable effects in a head-on battle. Qi suppresses the land and rivers. This was a feature of the National Guardian Dragon Spear, transforming the original frenzy into suppressing stance. An overwhelming spear technique that could truly intimidate opponents, as opposed to merely frightening them with frenzy. The final, true dragon strength effect was unknown for the time being, needing to wait until great success to experience it firsthand. Finally achieved Hua Jin. Having accomplished one of his phased goals, Chun Sansi exhaled a breath of stale air. Instead of the planned 2 months, he was ahead by 1 month. It was now spring. In just 1 month, he had broken through from the great success of refining to Hua Jin. Even geniuses like Lu Shuhua, who had already reached refining internal organs perfection, would probably still need to waste quite some time in the refining internal realm. This was thanks to the power of the spiritual rice medicine ointment. It was just not durable. He had to replenish it again after he had used it up, and moving forward, he would need to find time to go into the mountains for alchemy again. Moreover, the original mystic iron furnace had completely burned through and needed to be replaced. Looking at it this way, although spiritual grain seemed to be cost-free on the surface, in reality, it came with a price tag of several thousand taels of silver for each use. He had originally received a reward of 50,000 taels of silver. After spending for a while, he now had about half left. On top of that, Chen Sun still insisted on having a bite to eat every day. It would be better to have a container. My martial arts realm will not break through again in a short time. It's best to focus on practicing spells for the next few days. Chun Sansi locked the yard door, sat cross-legged on the empty room's floor, took out the purse given by the Seeking Immortal Tower, poured the spirit sand in his hand, and began to practice the spell according to the methods recorded on the fragmented scroll, channeling his meridians. Chapter 192. Spell Kills, Heavenly Book and Strange Weapon. _3. With eyes closed and spirit focused, he could feel an intangible yet tangible foundation near his dantian. According to the translation of the dictionary by Brother Fong, this thing should be called a spirit root. Only those with a spirit root could cultivate spells. Even Master, it seems, couldn't succeed in cultivating spells and could only approach the immortal path through martial arts. Moreover, spells and the immortal path are two different things. The immortal path is for cultivating longevity, while spells are for protecting the way. Cultivating spells is far more difficult than practicing martial arts, and the difficulty is 100 times greater. Took him a whole 3 days just to learn how to draw the Qingxian energy into his body through the spirit root, and now nearly a month had passed, yet he still hadn't reached the entry level. Magic, sword chi skill, not entry level. Progress, 78 out of 100. Utility, none for now. Fortunately, it was almost there. However, the rate at which the spirit sand was consumed was indeed a bit fast. A pouch contained just a small handful, and in not much time, nearly half of it was used up. There must be more in the Seeking Immortal Tower, but they probably wouldn't give it to him for nothing again. Beyond that, Chun Sansi had observed another phenomenon. That was, the Qingxian energy he absorbed into his body couldn't be stored or accumulated. It kept circulating in his meridians and slowly dissipating. To put it simply, it couldn't be retained, and he couldn't transform his body by keeping the Qingxian energy within. In contrast, the master could clearly retain Qingxian energy in his body. The technique for storing spiritual energy probably wouldn't be learned until one reached martial saint. As for the other path, Chun Sansi didn't have the corresponding cultivation technique. The Seeking Immortal Tower had it, but they wouldn't give it to him, and even if they were willing, he didn't have enough spiritual energy to cultivate. Otherwise, they wouldn't be so weak themselves. For now, he should just focus on cultivating the spell well. Before he knew it, another day had passed, until Si Qin knocked on the courtyard door and asked cautiously, "Master, Mr. Ho is here and waiting to see you in the living room." Okay. Chun Sansi guessed it might be news about Shun. Having practiced tirelessly, he was tired, so he instructed Si Qin to prepare food and drink and took the chance to relax and rest. He came to the living room and greeted with a fist salute. "Mr. Ho, your honorable visit graces my humble abode. Please forgive me for not welcoming you from afar." "Mr. Chan, no need to be so formal," the chief eunuch Ho Bao replied, putting down the tea in his hand. "I've come today to discuss the matter of your brother." "Please speak, Mr. Ho." Chun Sansi went forward to personally refill the tea. "Is there news?" "There is, but Mr. Chun, don't be too happy too soon." Ho Bao spoke unhurriedly. 7 months ago, among the civilians sent to Danzhou to work on the canal, there indeed was someone named Zhang Shun. But 3 months ago, a big incident took place in Danzhou. The flowing sand river broke its embankments, and the civilians unearthed a one-eyed giant stone statue at the bottom of the river. Under the leadership of several sects in the area, they raised the slogan, "Though the stone man has but one eye, he stirs the sands to make the world defy," and killed the canal supervisors. Then they fled to the mountains to become outlaws, using the geographical advantage of the 800 miles of water pools to establish strongholds, recruiting soldiers and horses, preparing to rebel when the opportunity arose. Your brother Zhang Shun disappeared without a trace after the end of this affair. It is unknown if he died during the mutiny or also. He paused, emphasizing the words, "turn to banditry." "It's that serious?" Chun Sansi in the north had barely heard of this. He looked at the map, noting Danzhou's location. "Mr. Ho, how many of them are there?" "As many as 80,000. These troublemakers don't appreciate what the court has given them. They all think of rebelling, deserving to be cut 1,000 times. Before the rebellion, many of them secretly trained in martial arts and even prepared their armor. This matter, it seems, was planned for a long time. After the incident, Nansu, which had been silent for more than a decade, started to stir again. So I figure the families, sects, and gangs in Danzhou and Nansu are all complicit. Luckily, the troublemakers who rose in rebellion are still just a ragtag mob. Once the court deals with Nansu, it'll take care of this band of troublemakers. Chun Sansi knew, with such a commotion, there was no way to get Shun back. 9 out of 10 chances he had become an outlaw as well. "Mr. Chen," Ho cautioned him in a thin voice, "let me give you a piece of advice. Sever ties with your brother as soon as possible. I'll keep this secret for you. Don't ruin your future." "I hear and understand your reminder, Mr. Ho," Chun Sansi replied, thinking to himself that the rebellion was good. Ever since he was in Pyong, he knew what life was like for the common people. The 10 days in Yunzhou further convinced him the court should fall. But it's not enough yet. The territory of the Great Shang dynasty is vast. With ostensibly 36 states, some have an immensely large area. For instance, one Liang state is worth 2.5 Yun states, which is why the court's military always seems stretched thin. Moreover, Danzhou is a small southern state. If Nansu falls, it means isolation without support, and the best outcome would be to barely survive in the mountains. To put it plainly, they were being manipulated. If one truly wants to create chaos, supreme martial power is needed. Especially after Chun Sansi learned of the immortal law, he was even more certain of this. The world is in such turmoil these recent years. Hou Bao sighed. Ming State is not staying quiet either. With the Lord Governor currently in the capital, the rebels are acting up like unsealed demons. There's also West Qi and Nan Su liaising, and they are ready to make a move. There are rebels in Ming State too? Chapter 193. Spell Kills, Heavenly Book and Strange Weapon. _4. Chun Sansi looked at the geographic position on the map. Ming State bordered Yen State and was also a large state, with complex terrains of numerous mountains and rivers. Further west lay the West Qi Kingdom, the four cardinal directions of the Great Shang Dynasty. Corresponding to the north, south, east, and west respectively were Baiman, Nansu, Dongqing, and West Qi Kingdom. Among them, the strongest were the combined barbarian tribes, followed by Dongqing, and then West Qi and Nansu, whose strengths were not much different. Almost everyone coveted the rich lands of the Great Shang Dynasty. For the same reasons as the barbarian tribes, the Great Shang Dynasty was rich in resources. In the Great Shang Dynasty, each state typically had at least one martial artist at the profound image realm, a feat none of the other countries could achieve, with martial saints being extremely rare. Not just Ming State, Yu State, Yen State, and even Liangzhou hosted rebels. During that 10-day period in Yunzhou, there were attempts to collaborate internally with the barbarians, including bandits, sects, and troublemakers. Mr. Ho spoke with a relatively light tone. But none managed to pose a significant threat before Supervisor Sun swiftly suppressed them. Now, the Northwest three states have returned to stability. Only Ming State faces enemies on both sides, being besieged by a group of bandits who have rallied troops to confront the court and currently occupy 6 cities, with plentiful supplies and provisions. Let me reveal to Mr. Chun in advance, if we cannot resolve this in the next few days, Liangzhou will have to dispatch troops for support, and your reserve camp will definitely be involved. Mr. Ho, Chun Sansi puzzled. What nature are these bandits of Ming State, that they have actually become a force to reckon with? Speaking of which, it's quite bizarre. Mr. Ho spoke with a cold breath. The bandits of May Mountain claim to be the Red Eyebrow Army. Intriguingly, their leader is not even a martial artist but a failed scholar. A failed scholar? Chun Sansi grew even more curious. Exactly. Mr. Ho explained in detail. This person started participating in the imperial examinations at 16 and has reached middle age without achieving any significant scholarly rank. Each visit to the capital ended in failure, resulting in local disdain. Even the girl he loved had to marry someone else. Thus, 2 years ago, he fled to the local bandits of May Mountain, led people to raid a wedding, killed the entire family of the bride who was about to be married, and then took the girl up the mountain to become bandits. Before long, he became the new leader of May Mountain, and later, seizing the opportunity during the barbarian uprisings, he led a rebellion. Supported by local prominent families, he became a formidable force. It is said that he was able to garner support because he obtained a scroll of military tactics, a heavenly book that contained real Chiman formations, turning him into a military training genius. Any formation drilled personally by him could exhibit combat effectiveness far beyond the cultivation of the soldiers. Thus he was elected as the leader. Of course, they have no martial saints. Their highest combatant is a sect master at the profound image realm. Truly speaking, they are not too challenging to deal with. But General Dong and of Ming State needs to focus on guarding against the West Qi Kingdom and is really unable to divide his attention. Thus, in a few days, about 30,000 troops might need to be dispatched from Liangzhou to suppress the rebels. A scroll documenting military tactics? A heavenly book? This must involve some extraordinary adventure, right? He, just a scholar, not only managed to keep such an adventure from being taken away but also became a leader? There must be many mysteries involved. Thank you for the information, Mr. Ho. Chun Sansi expressed his gratitude. Recently, General Chun must diligently drill, striving to achieve another remarkable feat in Ming State and gain promotions and titles, Mr. Ho said, twirling his Lan Hua fingers. You don't need to be polite with me. for I am but the emperor's dog. You should thank the emperor, and if one day Supervisor Sun passes on his teachings to you, you must submit them to the court. Chun Sansi interjected, Don't worry, Mr. Ho. Very good indeed. Mr. Ho nodded in satisfaction. During their conversation, the dishes were prepared, all made by chefs from the immortal Crane Tower at great expense. Chief Eunuch Hobo was very satisfied with the meal, and after being full and content, he even tried to invite Chun Sansi to visit a brothel. Chun tactfully declined but instead presented 1,000 silver notes as a bribe. How could I possibly accept this, Mr. Chun? I haven't been able to find your brother either, Mr. Ho said while tucking the silver note away. Well then, I won't disturb you any longer, Mr. Chun. See Chin. See the guest out. After seeing off the eunuch, the house once again returned to tranquility. Chun Sansi resumed practicing the sword chi skill. Days went by in routine dedication. Since his last visit to Red Sleeve Tower nearly a month ago, Exine Lan had been pregnant for over 2 months. Although there were no visible changes to her belly, symptoms like morning sickness and drowsiness had intensified. Before 5 a.m., Chun Sansi had already prepared a nourishing soup ahead of time, instructing Si Kinmohua to ensure the lady drank it before he headed to the garrison for roll call. Following the reveal from Mr. Ho, he also intensified the training of his men. After a long period of adjustment, whether his trusted followers or the soldiers from various garrisons, all were utterly compliant. The proficiency of his command over troops had also improved. Skill: commanding soldiers, small achievement. Progress: 355/2000. The only flaw of his men was their low level of cultivation. There were not enough refining organ martial artists. The 8 camps had a sufficient supply of regular supplemental medicines, but there were limits. Those with inadequate physiques could suffer indigestible toxicity, leading to damage in their internal organs and thus harming their foundational cultivation. The leftover toxicity in the prepared supplemental medicine was a test of a doctor's ability. If there were a way to quantify this in simple terms, ordinary people, similar to what Dr. Jiang brewed, would contain about 40% toxicity. Whereas, high-ranking practitioners in the Meridian Passage realm like Dr. Jiang could extract medicines with merely about 20% toxicity. Chapter 194. Spell Kills, Heavenly Book and Strange Weapon. _5. Don't underestimate these 20%, as every reduction of 1% in toxicity means martial artists can consume a bit more supplemental medicine to enhance their cultivation. Accumulated over time, this can lead to a significant improvement in the overall realm of the army. Power-quenching medicine requires reaching outer strength. Chun Sansi knew he would have to carefully research this further, since reducing the toxicity even more would also be an indirect way to enhance the strength of his men. Hey, General, I have some good news for you. Bai Thingji approached in a rather good mood. That mutt with the surname Een is preparing to leave early tomorrow morning. Finally, he won't be around to bother us anymore. Leaving? Chun Sansi quickly asked. Are you sure? Positive, Bai Thingji said with certainty. He's buying drinks and food for the barracks, treating those who are close to him. I heard they are even planning to visit the brothel tonight, and those who suck up to him keep saying how much they will miss him. Chun Sansi could see that this man was utterly loyal to Chao Fan and had thought he would stay in Liangzhou as an assistant. Why was he suddenly leaving now? He guessed it was probably because they felt exposed after Sha Wenlong was transferred last time and didn't dare to linger any longer, fearing a deeper investigation. Is Mr. Een content to just walk away like this? Among them, Een Hanwen definitely hated him the most, having been shot by an arrow before. Moreover, this guy wasn't penniless. Holding a banquet in the barracks wasn't about saving money. It was more like declaring to the world that he was leaving. Who was he trying to show this to? Chun Sansi couldn't help but imagine the worst-case scenario. Even if he wasn't planning on making a move against him, Chun Sansi couldn't let him off the hook. His sword chi skill was just a little short of entry level. He would definitely make it by tomorrow, but before that, he needed to get ready. Fortunately, it was his turn to rest and recuperate starting in the afternoon. Chun Sansi left inconspicuously and headed towards the governor mansion. After becoming more familiar with the place, he no longer needed to wait to be announced and could come and go freely. Led by a maid, he went straight to Rong Yenshou's residence. Little junior brother doesn't even give a heads up before coming. Rong Yenshou was wrapped in a light gauze, with wet hair and cheeks, obviously just having taken a bath. She pointed her finger at her junior brother's chest. "Speak. What brings you to your sister?" Chun Sansi took a step back and handed over the gift he had brought. "Came to see how sister is doing. PSSH. Acting all proper now. Not like when you were collapsing beds with that little B***TCH. Rong Yenshou disdainfully put on her clothes, glancing at the jewelry box. "Spare me the pretense. Come on. What do you want me to do for you this time? I really can't hide anything from sister." Chun Sansi bowed. "I will be resting for the next 2 days, planning to use this time to go hunting in the mountains, hoping to find an exotic beast. But I really don't feel easy leaving my wife at home alone. So could I ask sister to stay at my humble abode for a couple of days?" Since the person in question was leaving, naturally, going out of the city to commit murder was the most secure plan, with Chen Sun there to ensure he wouldn't lose his quarry. But he was worried about leaving his home unattended, in case of danger when he couldn't return in time. "What are you worrying about needlessly?" Rong Yenshou thought it was about the issue with their third senior brother, Nye Yuan, and confidently said, "Just go to the mountains with peace of mind. No one will track you again, and no one dares to go to your house. I still hope for sister to personally take care." Chun Sansi pleaded earnestly. "All right then." Rong Yenshou nodded. "If you put it that way, how could sister not agree? I'm idle anyway, and with sister Li often visiting, I might as well go there for a couple of days. But let's get something straight. You're not allowed to go to the Red Sleeve Tower looking for that little B***TCH again. Last time you asked me to help you find the person tracking you. Yet afterwards, you went straight to the brothel to make a name for yourself, infuriating me to no end." "I won't go any more," Chun Sansi agreed. "That's better." Rong Yenshou couldn't help but roll her eyes. "I really don't understand how my sister got so enchanted by you. If my man dared to mess around, he'd be hanging from the city walls by now." "Guess what your senior sister Sun said?" She said, "Sister, don't meddle in unnecessary matters. Junior brother surely has important business to handle." Which sounds so nauseating. You buy me gifts every day, why not buy something for your senior sister Sun? She's never been interested in anyone all her life, and now she probably doesn't even realize she's fallen for you. Don't let her down. "I understand. I'll definitely prepare a thank you gift next time." Chun Sansi thought as he considered that it was only proper to give something in return, since she was taking care of Sister Lan all the time. He clasped his hands and said, "I'm off to the mountains." "Go on, then," Rong Yenshou dismissed with a wave. "Your wife and my unborn nephew are in my care. Rest assured they won't get hurt even a hair. You really are too cautious. Farewell." After Chun Sansi had taken care of everything, a heavy weight lifted from his heart, and without a moment's delay, he rode his white swan horse directly toward the Luotian mountain range. His sword chi skill was just a little shy of entry level. He had to make the most of his time. Although he had his senior sister's protection to ensure total safety, he wouldn't let his enemy off the hook. In the alchemy cave, Chun Sansi sat cross-legged, focusing his entire attention on absorbing the Qingxian energy from the spirit sand. Until the next day, when the dawn light filled the sky outside the cave, he suddenly opened his eyes. Magic, sword chi skill, entry level. Progress, 0/500. Utility. Spiritual energy forms a blade, killing with a snap of the fingers. A snap of the fingers to kill. Once a martial artist reaches the profound image realm, their body can be covered with a layer of protective gang chi. But they lack meridian passage. Outer strength is definitely not enough to resist a spell. The more Chun Sansi cultivated, the more he felt its power. Chapter 195. Spell kills, heavenly book and strange weapon. _6. He circulated the energy through the meridians in his body, using a special evasive technique to gather spiritual energy into his right arm, palm, and finally above his fingertips in the void, where he formed an extremely tiny, elusive sword shadow, not much larger than a sewing needle. Done! Chun Sansi dispelled the sword shadow. He could feel that even his Vajra body would be pierced by a single sword thrust. There was no need to further test its power. Even the lowest level spell could kill a martial artist at the Meridian Passage realm. And the spiritual energy within him was limited. Chun Sansi estimated that after one full-powered strike, the Qingxian energy he had slowly accumulated inside would almost be depleted, and he would need to absorb spirit sand again to regather it. It was not something to be used frivolously. Having achieved great success, he saw that the time was about right, so he descended the mountain at the fastest speed and met up with Chen Sun at the foot of the mountain. "Young master, I take my leave." In Hanwen finally bowed deeply and then got into a carriage, slowly disappearing into the horizon under the escort of 7 or 8 attendants. About half an hour later he spoke. "Elder Wei, it's about time. Return now, hide until it gets dark. Then proceed with the killings. Remember, don't spare a single member of the family. Is everything ready?" "Here it is." Wei Gong took out the Vajra pestle. After killing someone, the witch god sect uses this to extract heart blood. But, young master, he is after all a disciple of Supervisor Sunday. Are you truly not worried about the irreversible consequences? Hesitation leads to failure. In Hanwen spoke vehemently. "Elder Wei, he has a better constitution than even I do, and he is guided by a supervisor. If the young master can't take over his resources, there's a high probability that he will become a martial saint or even higher. Moreover, judging by how forcefully he killed Wen Shosher, do you think he would let me off in the future? If we don't kill him now, when will we? Besides, this isn't just about personal revenge. Killing him will remove any obstacles for the young master in the Northern Territory, which will benefit the court greatly when he takes control of the military." "I understand." Wei Gong sighed. "Young master, if I don't come back before nightfall, don't stay in the carriage any longer. You must flee this place on horseback at full speed." "Elder Wei, you mean?" In Hanwen worriedly said. "But to kill someone of great successive refining, there shouldn't be any risk, right? Don't worry, my young master. Even if there is a risk, I alone will bear it, and I won't involve the young master or the young lord." Wei Gong, without another word, mounted a fast horse and rode back the way he had come. His silhouette filled with determination. Killing was easy, but leaving the city was hard. Should he alarm the city guard army and be unable to escape, he would naturally destroy his face and commit suicide. He was a man of Jianghu, having received many favors from the Yin family over the years that led to his current status. Dying for the Yin family would make his death worthwhile. "Elder Wei." In Hanwen watched until he could no longer see the other party. Then he relaxed and closed the curtains of the carriage. Elder Wei had watched him grow up from a child, and their bond was very deep. He had even taught him martial arts, making him almost like a mentor. If something really happened, he would indeed have difficulty letting go. But even so, it's worth it. In Hanwen steeled his heart and closed his eyes to wait for good news. He spoke. "Old Zhang, tell me a story." The coachman, Old Zhang, who had also accompanied him throughout his growth, had even specifically learned storytelling to amuse him. "All right." Old Zhang's voice boomed as he started with a poem to set the scene. Reciting tales and acting out plays to advise people, good or evil, in the end there is retribution. The moral path in the world is vast and changing. Last time the story reached, all the way wobbling, In Hanwen unconsciously fell into a deep sleep. Until a certain moment, the world suddenly became extremely quiet. Even the carriage stopped moving, and only the chirping of birds on either side of the official road could be heard by his ears. "Old Zhang, why did you stop narrating?" Silence. "Where have we arrived? Has Elder Wei returned?" Still no one responded. "I am asking you a question." "Young master, run." A hoarse voice of warning sounded, striking In Hanwen like a bolt of lightning. He swiftly grabbed the mystical weapon iron sword next to him and jumped out of the carriage. Looking around, Within the desolate hills and wild ridges, dead bodies were everywhere. His 8 guards had silently died, each of their hearts pierced by a sharp arrow. In fact, old Zhang, who was in the great success of refining realm, was the last to die, falling beside the carriage, using his body to shield several sharp arrows for him. The shout also came from him. Who? While In Hanwen was immensely frightened, he firmly grasped the treasure sword in his hand. Buzz! The sound of a sharp weapon piercing the air reached his ears, and he hurriedly attempted to block, only to be knocked back by the terrifying impact, his treasure sword flying from his hand. No match for his opponent. It's you! The moment he fell to the ground, In Hanwen finally saw the attacker clearly. Holding a long spear with a bow on his back, who else could it be? You have reached Hua Jin. In Hanwen stared wide-eyed, momentarily even forgetting to be afraid. The princely heir had not hesitated to use his lifespan to enhance his cultivation, barely reaching Hua Jin. But this kid, how did he do it? Even with the transformation and mysterious body, it shouldn't be possible. Chun Sansi didn't waste a word, about to take his life, when a huge rock was thrown at him. Bang! With one strike of the long spear, the rock was shattered to pieces. A shadow darted past, whisking In Hanwen away. Elder Wei, how did you come back? In Hanwen exclaimed in delighted surprise. This kid knew we were going to kill him, so he invited Rong Yanxiu to his home beforehand. Wei Gong spoke gravely. I was wondering why I didn't see him. To think he would dare to come here and strike first. Truly a clever and courageous move. But you underestimate me too much. Chun Sansi, there's a path in heaven that you wouldn't take, and no door into hell, yet you come seeking it by yourself. In Hanwen grinned viciously. In the city, we had our reservations, but here you will die without a burial place. Elder Wei, kill him, Elder Wei. Wei! Just then, a flash of silver streaked past. He barely saw what it was when Wei Gong, who had small achievement in the Meridian Passage realm, fell straight down, a red dot appearing on his forehead, trails of blood slowly spilling out like a spiderweb across his face. Chapter 196. Incense Burner, Expedition to Ming State. Refining Internal. How could refining internal kill someone in the Meridian Passage stage? In Hanwen's expression was as if he had seen a ghost. It was unbelievable. All along, Chun Sansi hadn't moved at all. He simply, just gently tapped with his finger. And then Elder Wei was dead. How did he do it? Immortal law. Immortal law. In Hanwen suddenly realized. People always rumored that Sun Xiangzong possessed an immortal law. It seems it was true, and he had already passed it to Chun Sansi. How could this be? He had only started learning a few days ago. In Hanwen, having not even a hint of resistance left, wanted to flee in utter panic. Chun Sansi drew the Jinhua sword and chased after him, running him through with the sword and ending the battle, or rather massacre. The spell his master passed down to him was indeed terrifying. It shocked even him. No wonder Miss Ningxiang, who couldn't surpass the refining internal realm, said she could easily kill someone in the Meridian Passage stage. It must have been by such means, cultivating immortality and practicing martial arts. They simply couldn't compete. And this was the lowest level of spell, which anyone with spirit energy and a spirit root could cultivate, even if they hadn't formally embarked on the path of immortality yet. It's just not known if the protective Gang Qi after entering the profound image realm could withstand this attack. First, clean up the scene. Chun Sansi pulled the arrows out of each corpse, then picked up the Vajra pestle from the ground, covering the arrow wounds in their hearts. The trauma caused by the Vajra pestle was extensive. Once struck, one could not tell what the original wound had been like. He originally needed to dispose of the bodies one by one, but the Vajra pestle made it much easier. Only the storyteller coachman, who had too many arrow wounds, still had to be disposed of. Wei Gong's wound in the middle of his forehead was also hacked to a mess. After all was done, Chun Sansi picked up the long spear and quickly returned to the depths of the Luotian mountain range. Soon enough, some passers-by would discover the bodies, then leave them to the local Liangzhou military to handle. Chen Sansi wasn't worried about it being connected back to him. After all, many people did not know he had broken through to refining internal, and even if they did, killing someone at the Meridian Passage stage was like a fairy tale. Nobody would guess it was him. As for the spell, even fewer people would connect it to that, because it seemed that even his master didn't know this art. It had always been hidden and never revealed by Brother Fong. Squeezed dry, Chen Sansi felt the pristine cleanliness of his meridians within his body, as if he had spent all his long-accumulated money in one go, leaving an emptiness, with the remaining spirit sand being just enough for one more such expenditure. Without the supply of spiritual energy from the world, truly, a hero finds no place to exercise his power. The incense might somewhat substitute for spiritual energy, but it's not obtainable. To get the incense from those worshipping in the temples, he'd need that incense burner. Returning to the cave, Chen Sansi began to seclude himself for cultivation. If what Mr. Ho said was true, they might be called to arms soon, so raising his cultivation by even a little was crucial, and he also needed to take enough spiritual rice medicine ointment and treasure medicine, in case there were none to use along the way. The distance between Liangzhou and Ming State was significant. Military art heavenly book. It sounded far-fetched, but Chen Sansi himself had just used a spell, making it seem not so unbelievable. Unnoticed, another day passed. When dawn broke, he did not continue practicing, but instead, he chopped plenty of firewood to produce more spiritual rice medicine ointment. Beneath the fiery red flames, the mystic iron furnace deformed. Soon, a blackish, unfamiliar substance appeared at the bottom of the pot. Carefully, Chen Sansi collected it, also testing if he could roll it into spheres for easy consumption. But the consistency wasn't thick enough, so he reluctantly gave up and faithfully poured it into porcelain bottles. After hastily packing up, he grabbed his bow and arrows and left the cave, stepping into the boundless woods. Tonight, he was supposed to return home, but he needed to carry back 2 game animals. An exotic beast would be ideal. The iron core bow that Ji had given him was still missing a string. He wanted to see if he could find a suitable exotic beast as material, and also had been looking into imbuing arrows with power. Although Chen Sansi's senses were still exceptional, with his chi observation skill, finding prey no longer required the trouble it used to, as nearly no living creature within range could escape his eyes. He had taken only a few steps when he encountered a poisonous beast emitting a black aura. Evil Qi. Miss Ningxiang had mentioned that this dark black energy was termed evil Qi. These birds and beasts had become poisonous beasts under the influence of evil Qi. The divine sect, evil Qi. It was hard not to connect them together. At the deepest part of the Luotian mountain range, there definitely had to be an immortal trace. With my current strength, how far can I go? An idea suddenly sparked in Chen Sansi's mind. Hunting poisonous beasts was itself a form of cultivation that could improve his spear technique proficiency, perfectly manageable as a trial as long as he ensured his own safety. Not to mention that he had the chi observation skill. If he encountered any dangerous poisonous beasts, he could retreat immediately. The people from the Seeking Immortal Tower said that high-realm martial artists had the chance to reach the deepest part. Why wouldn't he want to see for himself what was inside? Since he was going hunting anyway, he might as well continue forward. Thinking thus, Chen Sansi ignored the prey in front of him and kept moving deeper. If one were to segment the Luotian mountain range into layers, visually it would be about 14 layers. His current location was approximately the 4th layer, while the initial outbreak of the evil Qi occurred in the very last layer. Mobilizing his Qi blood, his figure flitted ghost-like through the woods. The deeper he went, the more poisonous beasts he encountered. Wolves, tigers, leopards, rare animals, grotesque and varied. Chapter 197. The Incense Burner, setting out to Ming State _2. Chen Sansi walked and killed, his body splattered with blood, unknowingly reaching the location of the 8-layered mountain, where he saw a mass of even denser black evil Qi in the woods ahead, faintly visible. He applied the technique of concealing breath and hiding, slowed down and slowly approached. It was a strange beast with a bizarre appearance. Just by its appearance, it resembled a completely red leopard, but it was over 10 feet long. with 5 tails growing from its back, a horn on top of its head, and blood-red eyes. It was tearing apart a poisonous beast corpse with its small, sharp teeth. Its entire beastly face was smeared with blood, and its whiskers were sticky with some unidentifiable substance, looking extremely fierce. This beast was called Jing. Chun Sansi had seen records about it in Journey Through Mountains and Rivers. The description Fierce Face originated from it. It was meant to be an exotic beast. However, at this moment, he could clearly see the black evil chi flowing in its body, which also categorically made it a poisonous beast. Along the way, many exotic beasts had been corrupted by evil chi into poisonous beasts, which could be said to be a waste of many resources. After all, some exotic beasts had effects even better than treasure medicine when consumed. Fortunately, although one could not eat poisonous beasts, some parts of their bodies could still be used as materials for weapons and armor. This Zhang. Chun Sansi looked at the dense evil chi inside it and for a moment even doubted whether he could kill it. First try. If it doesn't work, then run. If I absolutely cannot escape. He still had the immortal treasure Strange Fire. In the deep, old forests, there was no need to worry about anyone noticing. With thoughts set, he immediately put them into action. Chun Sansi would draw the bow as full as the moon, and a triangular armor-piercing arrow, carrying the sound of tearing through the air, shot out explosively. The fierce monster flicked its sharp ears, reacting just from the sound of the wind, turning around to swipe a claw so sharp that it cut the arrow into several pieces. Bang! It let out a bizarre roar like rocks colliding, its limbs slightly bending backward. Then its massive body also turned into an arrow, lunging forward at a speed hard to catch with the naked eye. This leap covered 100 steps. Swish! Even though Chun Sansi maintained a distance of 300 steps, he was approached by the beast in an instant. He immediately switched from bow to spear, and the 5 tigers' soul-breaking spear struck out like a jiao-long leaping from the sea. The fierce monster dodged the strike with its agility, then its sharp claws came slashing down swiftly. Chun Sansi naturally turned the spearhead to collide with it, creating the sound of metal striking metal. Under the terrifying force, he had to activate blood explosion state and also use his strength just to barely hold it off. This beast possessed the strength of great success in Hua Jin, perhaps even perfection. Moreover, it had some degree of intelligence, not charging blindly. It knew how to dodge and counter, no different from a martial artist, but its physical strength was much greater than that of a martial artist. Since Chun Sansi was just attempting, and realizing the difficulty, he naturally did not push his luck and immediately retreated after one strike. Although the fierce monster was fast, its large body got in the way in the dense forest. It, while furiously pursuing, knocked down several large trees, startling groups of birds into chaotic flight and animals to scatter. Chun Sansi did not look back, taking detours while already retrieving the arrows he had prepared in advance, coated with immortal treasure. But after covering some distance, the sounds behind him gradually ceased. The fierce monster did not continue the chase, probably because he had left its territory. Forget it. Chun Sansi thought about it, deciding not to turn back and pursue. If he really used Strange Fire to burn it, it would leave nothing but ashes, gaining him nothing at all. Seeing how the fierce monster moved so quickly and jumped so impressively, if he could completely kill it and obtain its beast tendon, it might be a rare resource suitable for use in the Iron Core Bow. 8-layered mountain. This was Chun Sansi's first attempt reaching 8-layered mountain, and for him to venture further ahead, he needed small achievement in Hua Jin. Concealing breath and hiding was no invisibility technique, especially under the influence of evil chi. Who knew if the poisonous beast could have some special abilities? If something unexpected happened, he needed to ensure a full retreat. He did not take further risks and returned the way he came, while still hunting for prey. When he got close to 6th-layer mountain, Chun Sansi, in a thicket, discovered a faint blue chi. An exotic beast. It was an exotic beast not corrupted. He cautiously approached and found an incredibly adorable ear mouse, its name being Mouse, but it was large in size with fur like a rat, a head like a rabbit, a body like a moose, and its cry sounded canine. It also held a hint of cuteness. Chun Sansi shot an arrow through its head, successfully claiming it. Not all exotic beasts possess formidable combat capabilities. The ear mouse was one such example, harmless to humans and livestock, yet not only could it resolve all poisons, it was also a highly nutritious creature. One such beast was equivalent to many treasure medicines. Thus, he now had spiritual rice medicine ointment, treasure medicine, and an exotic beast combined. His cultivation could make significant progress in the upcoming period. The faint blue qi. He was somewhat curious. Since the qi inside the exotic beast was neither spiritual energy nor evil qi, he wondered what its origin could be. Given the chance, he would ask the people of Seeking Immortal Tower. They would definitely know. Any more? Chun Sansi was about to leave with the ear mouse when he noticed in the thick weeds a distinctively different flower. Purple cold flower. It belonged to mutant grass. Just as exotic beasts are distinct from ordinary beasts, mutant grass is distinct among plant and medicinal materials, a raw material for treasure medicine. Like the purple cold flower before him, it is indistinguishable from the weeds before blooming. It blooms once every 20 years, and the bloom lasts only a day. Fortune is needed to find one. Unfortunately, it cannot be used to enhance cultivation but serves as a special medicine for treating external injuries. Even without injuries, it can still promote skin health and is said to help delay aging. Chapter 198. The Incense Burner, setting out to Ming State _3. For Chun Sansi it had no use, but how could he not take something that was free? He casually picked it up and kept it. Deep in the Luotian mountain range, there indeed were numerous treasures. The next time he came, he would kill a poisonous beast to take its beast tendon, and then he could craft a complete 100-stone bow. But relying solely on great tension was not enough. The lethality wasn't sufficient for martial artists above the great success of Hua Jin. Which high-realm martial artist didn't have the strength of tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds? As long as one could react, one could easily block it. Even that beast just now could catch it, let alone a martial artist. This was also why very few people were obsessed with archery. After reaching a certain realm, it wasn't very useful. If there was some divine natural treasure that could store power, then every shot of an arrow would be like an attack laden with gene. The stronger the gene, the harder it would be to block. It seemed he still had to continue looking through books and researching materials. Down the mountain. On his way back, Chun Sansi encountered many more useless poisonous beasts, killing them all without exception. His diligent training recently had also greatly improved his proficiency in the Huajing technique. Cultivation technique. National Guardian Dragon Spear. Huajing. Entry-level. Progress. 65 to 500. His archery skills had also improved significantly. Skill. Archery. Great success. Progress. 750/2000. By the time he left the Luotian mountain range, it was already early morning the next day. He had stayed in the mountains for 3 days and 3 nights. Qian soon. Chun Sansi called out at the foot of the mountain, and the white swan horse appeared quickly. As soon as he entered the city carrying an ear mouse, he saw wanted posters everywhere. The witch god sect had made their move in the past few days, having killed more than 50 sect disciples. The matter of Yin Hanwen was causing quite an uproar. No matter how incompetent Yin Hanwen was, he was still of the body of martial saint. Moreover, his father held a high position in the court as the Minister of Personnel, a second-rank official and a member of the cabinet, a major case without a doubt. Han Wen. Chao Fan, looking at the pale corpse, gently brushed his hand over it to close his eyes, and asked in a deep voice, "Who did this?" Replying to young master, the forensic doctor bowed and said, "Their hearts were smashed to pieces. From the wounds, it was the Vajra pestle, the weapon the witch god sect likes to use to take heart blood. It should be correct."
Which god sect?
Chao Fan's fists clenched white. "General Shah, what do you think? Could it have been someone else?" "It should be the witch god sect, no mistake." Shah Wenlong frowned deeply. From the bodies, both Wei Gong and young Master Yin died without any power to fight back. In Liangzhou City, The only ones with such capabilities are the lurking followers of the witch god sect. Chao Fan was silent. He had suspected others. Like Chun Sansi, he had the motive but not the ability. Great success of refining, how could it possibly kill Meridian Passage, especially without any power to fight back? Based on the current phenomena, the attacker had to be at least of the profound image realm, as only martial artists of the profound image realm could easily kill a high-level Meridian Passage expert. Han 1, I will avenge you. Chao Fan's eyes darkened. Young master, I am also saddened by Mr. Yin's death, said Sha Wanlong, whose family had been graced by the Yin family for generations. Even if they did not have personal relations, they were on the same side, and such an event was bound to stir some anger. He paused. But now is not the time for mourning. In a few days we are to embark on a campaign to Ming State to exterminate the rebel army. This mission is partly for achieving merit, but more importantly, to establish authority in the military. Rest assured, General Sha, I will not let the accident shake my state of mind. Chao Fan responded, I hope for your strong support in this expedition. Young master, rest assured, said Sha Wanlong calmly. Once we enter Ming State, I will take command and then look for an opportunity to hand over the command of Skywolf Camp to you. Young master, all the merit will be yours. Gaining merit in battle did not necessarily require killing enemy generals. Strategic command was even more crucial. Killing enemy generals was just one part of the process. Winning the battle was the ultimate goal. Thank you, General Sha. Young master, why be so formal with me? Covered in blood, Chun Sansi, carrying the ear mouse, returned home. What a cute beast. What is this, master? Si Chin felt pity. Ear mouse. Chun Sansi threw the thing into the kitchen. Skin it, then take out the heart and cook it medium rare for me to eat tonight. Cook the rest of the meat as well. Yes, master. Si Chin picked up the kitchen knife and started to work. I was wondering why there was such a big commotion. It's junior brother, you're back. Rong Yanxiu came over upon hearing the sounds. Senior sister 9. Thank you for taking care of my wife during this time. Chun Sansi said, as he took out a purple cold flower. This flower? Eh? Rong Yanxiu stared at him, giving him a look. Whom are you giving it to? Chun Sansi understood. I got it. The purple cold flower was cold in nature and could not be given to pregnant women as it could easily cause a miscarriage. He found Sun Li, who was practicing with a saber in the second courtyard. Senior sister Sun, I have a gift for you. Sun Li paused her actions. Purple cold flower, crush it and mix with water. Apply it directly on the skin. It can nourish the skin and prevent aging. Chun Sansi said, You have been taking care of Sister Lan all the way from Yunzhou, and I have not expressed my gratitude until now. Oh! Sun Li took the flower, sniffed it next to her beautiful nose, and said faintly, It smells quite nice. Glad you like it, senior sister. Chun Sansi had no time to chat further. He instructed Si Chin to invite the chef from Immortal Crane Tower to treat the two senior sisters well. Then he ate the ear mouse heart and continued his cultivation without pause. Early the next morning, the door of the mansion was gently knocked. Chun Sansi was just about to go to work, so he went to open the door himself and saw a familiar face. Chapter 199. Incense Burner. Expedition to Ming State _4. Qiu Mingzi. He came himself. Boundless blessings. Heavenly venerate. Qiu Mingzi, holding a horsetail whisk, said with a smile, Mr. Chun, it's been a long time. Indeed, it's been a long time, real one. Chun Sansi knew full well. May I know the reason for your visit, real one? Recently, I've sent invitations several times, but you have not attended the Taoism conferences. I understand you've been busy with military duties. I didn't mean to bother you. I merely wished to present a gift. Qiu Mingzi took out an incense bag from his broad sleeves. Mr. Chun, you donated incense last time, and I hadn't had the chance to reciprocate. Hearing that your wife is pregnant, I personally crafted an amulet that nurtures the spirit and protects the fetus. Please accept it with a smile. Very well. Chun Sansi took the incense bag. Additionally, my junior brother, the current temple master of Ci Yun Temple, has returned from his travels with profound insights. He's prepared to preach and solve doubts for everyone. I hope Mr. Chun can attend. It will be beneficial for you. Of course, whether to go or not is still up to you. I just wanted to let you know. Having spoken, Chiu Mingzi performed a Taoist salutation, bowed with cupped hands, and took his leave.
Amulet, Nuri Singh Hớt, Lang Yuri.
Colon? The spices and herbs inside the amulet indeed have properties for nourishing the spirit and protecting the fetus, but like the nourishing spirit soup, it's mixed with something else. Chun Sansi was seething with anger. He wouldn't attend some damn preaching conference, and they even targeted his home, planning to give it to his pregnant wife, Sister Lan. Preposterous. Boom! Chun Sansi threw the incense bag into the fire in the kitchen stove, burning it completely. He knew the amulet was likely a test to see if he would notice anything unusual. Even so, it couldn't be kept. Who knows what immeasurable consequences might arise from keeping it.
Chiyun Temple.
Chun Sansi needed to devise a way to probe the depths of this Taoist temple. Sometimes, startling the snake on purpose isn't a bad thing but a strategy, especially in a situation where he had been targeted. Otherwise, how could he rest easy leaving his wife and child behind when he was to depart for a campaign in Ming State, potentially for half a year? Setting aside these thoughts, Chun Sansi returned to his quarters and, with Si Chin's assistance, donned his armor, then mounted his white swan horse and headed to the military camp for reporting. Upon his arrival, he received the notification. 3 days later, the army would embark to suppress the rebel Qi Mei army in Ming State. This deployment would include 40,000 troops from Liangzhou. The forces comprised the reserve camp, the Sky Wolf camp, along with 20,000 elite garrison soldiers from Liangzhou. Since both the generals of the Sky Wolf camp and the reserve camp had recently taken their posts, General Zhao was appointed as the lead for this campaign. Lu Ji and others needed to stay in Liangzhou, ready to deal with potential barbarian invasions. Assemble! The sound of the bugle rang out. At the martial arts arena, the deputy general of the reserve camp, who was effectively the main general, began the pre-battle mobilization. This person, named Yuan Dai, had been transferred from Yu State. He was at the early stage of the profound image realm. He held an 8-foot snake spear in his hand, but he was relatively sophisticated in appearance, tall but not overly so. The main task of their reserve camp was to assist, with the Sky Wolf camp taking on the primary attack responsibilities. After the speech, special personnel distributed silver, clothing, and food along with additional shares of supplemental medicine to every soldier, advising everyone to say goodbye to their families in advance. Su Wenkai, Wang Li, Su Bin, Feng Yong. You guys, come with me. Chun Sansi called them by name, then entered the tent. As a thousand captain, he naturally had his own tent, albeit a small one. Inside the tent, maps and sand tables were fully prepared, all arranged in advance by the old scholar. Let's talk. Any thoughts? Chun Sansi called in those who were somewhat intelligent among his subordinates. After listening to Mr. Ho, he would study the maps whenever he was free and noticed that the situation in Ming State was quite strange. He might not command the grand strategy, but he still needed to be well informed. In case of any situation, he could also approach General Zhao for clarification. Sir, I'm not talented, but when I came to Liangzhou, I discussed the situation in Ming State with Mr. Fong, so I do have some insights to share. Let's start with the specific deployment of the troops. Su Wenkai, holding a feather fan, gestured on the sand table and spoke confidently. Ming State, located beyond Yen State, is the westernmost region of the Great Shang Dynasty. From the court side, there are 80,000 soldiers, and the rebels amount to 20,000. General Dong'an is on the western border of Ming State, confronting tens of thousands of troops from the West Qi Kingdom. The Red Eyebrow Army is near Mei Mountain in the southernmost part of Yen State, seizing the opportunity of foreign threats at the border and the vulnerability of the heartland to start their rebellion. By the end of last month, they had already captured 6 cities and expanded their forces to 30,000 troops. Currently, they are halted around Golden Spring Manor, which has stabilized the situation temporarily. General Dong can only spare 30,000 soldiers to suppress the rebellion, due to insufficient forces. Hence, the Ministry of War approved the dispatch of 40,000 soldiers to provide assistance, aiming to recover all lost territory and execute the rebel Liang Jinian as the ultimate goal. He completed the summary of the situation. After arriving in Liangzhou, Fang Qingyun had been a great help to him. Now, Su Oncai's perspectives had broadened significantly, and his understanding of the military forces of the world had deepened considerably. Chun Sansi stood in front of the sand table with a deep look in his eyes. Old Su, don't hold back. I know you haven't finished speaking. Continue. He shook his head. This old scholar was still cautious about outshining him, using quite a few tricks. Sir, you are wise. You must have already noticed the clues, so I will just say it. Su Oncai started with flattery, then said, using only 20,000 troops, the rebels managed to capture 6 cities within just 2 or 3 months. Even if the heartland of Ming State is vulnerable, it shouldn't have happened like this. Chapter 200, Incense Burner, Expedition to Ming State _5. My lord, I have heard. After receiving permission, Zhao Kong said, this Liang Jinian has some kind of divine artifact. What's it called again? The Heavenly Book. Feng Yong supplemented. It's been spread everywhere that he is the heaven-ordained child who is seen and immortal, holding a scroll of the Miracle Soldier's Heavenly Book, extremely powerful. With the Heavenly Book, coupled with the strong support of several major sects, it is indeed possible for them to fight to this extent. You're right. Stroking his beard, Su Oncai said, he has the Heavenly Book, but if the Heavenly Book is truly so powerful, why were they stopped at Golden Spring Manor? The garrison of Golden Spring Manor is only 5,000 strong, and General Dong's 30,000 reinforcements haven't arrived yet. Geographical advantage, perhaps. Zhao Kong said, Golden Spring Manor is easy to defend and hard to attack, comparable to Hunglong Prefecture in Yunzhou. As long as there is no internal chaos, it is very difficult to take. After they arrived in Liangzhou, aside from practicing, they spent their days poring over military books, all to avoid holding back their superior. Good, you're all correct. So now comes the biggest doubt. Narrowing his eyes slightly, Su Oncai said, given that Yunzhou is in such chaos, why hasn't the West Qi Kingdom launched a full-scale assault by now? Why are they still only probing with their attacks? Wang Li, what do you think? That. Wang Li, rubbing the hilt of his knife and frowning in serious contemplation, said, they are not yet confident, waiting for the right opportunity. Waiting for what? Subin muttered. It's indeed strange. By the time our reinforcements get there, won't West Qi Kingdom have missed their chance? Upon such analysis, the group began to feel something was amiss. My lord, Su Oncai asked curiously, after our Liangzhou forces enter Ming State, how will we deploy them? How will we annihilate the enemy? And where will we transport the food and forage from? Will we rely on local supplies or transport them? Chun Sansi did not answer. These matters were not for subordinates to know. Strategic deployment was a secret. Even generals with 5th rank and above did not have the full picture, and he could only listen in on account of his 3rd rank title. Even if he trusted Su Oncai greatly, it was impossible to reveal such information. According to the plan, the Liangzhou forces would travel lightly, passing through Yen State directly into the heart of Ming State. Supplies and heavy equipment would be provided by Ming State. After all, speed is the essence of war, and the idea was not problematic. But in case of any unexpected events that prevented timely support from Ming State, the Liangzhou forces would turn into an isolated force, without even a city to rest and regroup in. If it were up to Chun Sansi to command, he would definitely choose a more cautious approach. After much consideration, he finally went to General Zhao's camp, prepared to offer his counsel. Yo, General Chun is here. Zhao Wuji, also studying a sand table, greeted him warmly. General Chun, how well are your men trained? This could be a good opportunity to distinguish yourself. General Zhao. Chen Sansi got straight to the point. I have a suggestion regarding the deployment of our forces for the suppression of the rebellion. I wonder if it's appropriate to speak of it now? Speak, of course. General Zhao jestingly said. In terms of military achievements, you're no less than me. My lord. Chen Sansi, pointing at the sand table of Ming State, said, I think our current march arrangement is somewhat insecure. Perhaps it's better this way. After our army enters Ming State, we should not rush to advance southward but rather station and regroup at Guyu Prefecture, famously impregnable. Then we can wait for the Mingzhou army to advance westward and join up with them at this point. Merge our forces and proceed in an orderly fashion, gradually eating away at the enemy. Additionally, I suggest transporting supplies from Yan State and Liang State, rather than relying entirely on Ming State, because an unexpected interruption of supplies could cause great turmoil within the army, with dire consequences. That's very cautious, but Zhao Wuji, tapping on the sand table, said, General Chen, haven't you commanded an army larger than 10,000 before? Do you know how much is consumed daily by the men and horses when a large army advances? Transporting supplies from Liang State to Ming State, the loss is significant. Out of 10 bushels transported to the front line, at most only 1 or 2 bushels remain. When the Mingzhou army has ample supplies, why bother with extra effort? As for your suggestion to merge forces, it's stable, yet it would maximize our losses. The Red Eyebrow army is not foolish. While you're consolidating, they'll be preparing. If they retreat back into the city, you should know how brutal a siege can be. Or is there something else you're worried about? Feel free to speak up. I can't quite articulate it. Chen Sansi nodded. I just feel that West Chi's delay in taking action might be due to some other scheme. They're just too scared to act. Zhao Wuji said calmly. General Dong was someone who could arm wrestle with General Fang Qingyun. Although he failed to come out on top, he is still a grandmaster of military strategy. With him there, it's natural for West Qi country to be cautious and wait to see the extent of the Red Eyebrow army's success. But ultimately they're just a disorganized mob who lack even a martial saint. Even if they have some worthless heavenly book, what of it? If the heavenly book were so potent, they wouldn't have come to a standstill. Everything General Zhao says is correct. Chen Sansi stated, but I still have this feeling. Combat isn't about feelings, General Chen. Zhao Wuji patted his shoulder. I believe that you will certainly become a great general in the future, likely even a martial saint, but for now, you are still young and need to grow. The plan to suppress the rebellion was formulated by General Liu, Mr. Ho, and me. It's too late to change, and it wouldn't be possible either. This time, it's your valuable chance to learn large-scale military operations by accompanying the army. You don't need to worry too much. No matter what, with Ming State's 30,000 plus Liang State's 40,000, 70,000 against the rebel army's 30,000, the advantage is ours. Chen Sansi had no rebuttal to the other's argument.